It's time for Twig This Week in Google. Coming up, Microsoft's biggest acquisition ever. What does it mean for Google? We'll talk about the Cryptoderps who bought a copy of Dune and now want to make a movie because we own the book, right? And Spotify experts are saying, what are you going to do about Joe Rogan? It's all coming up next on Twig.
Podcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twig. This is Twig, This Week in Google, episode 647, recorded Wednesday, January 19th, 2022. A disco floor for your wall. This Week in Google is brought to you by IT Pro TV. Are you looking to break into the world of IT? Get the introduction you need with IT Pro TV. Visit itpro.tv/twit for an additional 30% off all consumer subscriptions for the lifetime of your active subscription. Just use the code TWIT30 at checkout. And by Nareva. Traditional audio conferencing systems can entail lots of components. Installation could take days, and you might not get the mic coverage you need. That's complex-expensive. But Nareva Audio is easy to install and manage. No technicians required, and you get true full room coverage. That's easy economical. Learn more at nareva.com. And by HPE GreenLake, orchestrated by the experts at CDW to help deliver a seamless and scalable cloud experience that comes to you. Learn more at cdw.com/HPE. It's time for Twig This Week at Google, the show where we talk about, pretty much anything we want to. Sometimes about Google, probably not today. Stacey Higginbotham is back. We missed you, Stacey. Thank you for being here.
Missed y'all.
You could tell who replaced you last week because you have his lower third.
Oh, was it Matthew? Who was it?
Mike Elgin.
I didn't see.
Mike Elgin.
Oh, Mike Elgin.
We'll fix that.
Oh, he's nice.
There you go. Stacey Higginbotham. Stacey on IoT.com at GigaStacey. Don't forget the Stacey and Kevin Show, the IoT podcast, and all of that. Also with us, Mr. Jeff Jarvis. You know him better as
that grumpy old man.
The Leonard Tao Professor for Journalistic Innovation at the Graduate School of Journalism at the City University of New York, Director of the Tao Knight Center, etc., etc., etc. Hello.
Hello.
How did you eat that entire bag of cacio e pepe?
No, I didn't. The last time I had it was last week, but I had some cacio e pepe puffs before the show.
Good.
I didn't want to make noise.
Nice.
I had to show Stacey our find.
I am jealous.
Very delicious.
Cheesy, salty snacks. They're the best.
Salty, they're all the best. Actually, Sunday we were talking on Twit about using chopsticks to eat spicy hot Cheetos so they don't get your fingers all orange.
That's what people do for like any sort of Doritos. A lot of my engineering programming friends do that.
Yeah, because you want to have the snack while you're coding, but you really don't want to get orange on the keyboard. It's bad.
Yeah.
Trust me, I know. Also with us from Hands-On Photography, Aunt Pruitt. Also the community manager of our fabulous Club Twit. You have a bunch of events coming up. Georgia Dow will be joining us for what do you call it? Fireside chat. Andy Anako was mind-bogglingly fascinating.
Yep, his was an AMA, and that was so much fun.
So there's a difference. You actually
yes, sir. There's a difference. The AMAs, I set it up to be geared more towards our Club Twit members to participate and get their feedback. And the fireside chats is more along. I'm digging in and sitting down. I'll take some questions from my members, but it's more me trying to drive it.
January 28th, Georgia Dow at 3 p.m. Pacific. 4 p.m. Pacific, February 11th, Mike Elgin and Amira, and I'll be hosting that one. And then the poll is up for the next book in Stacey's book club.
Which was another great time. We
so
sat
glad we're
down
doing
before our AMA, Mrs. Stacey and I, and the book wasn't horrible, as I said.
You didn't like it that much? You didn't like it that much?
No, I liked it, but
not horrible. That was the quote.
Yeah. Sci-fi is just it's a different thing for me.
You have to be into sci-fi, yeah. It had great issues to talk about, though. AI, robots, things like that.
It did. Even Mr. Jammer B joined in on the conversation. He would cut our mics off and just take over the show every now and then.
Well, as you know, Jammer B is a big sci-fi fan, so as am I. And something else worth mentioning is we included our members in that because we do it over Zoom, and our members can join in on the Zoom and pop up on the screen and talk with us and all that. So, hey, sign up for Club Twit, y'all. It's only $7 a month. It's a good thing.
It supports a good cause.
Yeah. I'll give you all the deets later, a little later on the show. The big story. Oh, I'm trying to find the poll.
For the book?
Yeah, I had it a minute ago. I don't. Oh,
it should be pinned.
It should be pinned. Pinned to what?
I can't find it.
If you don't pin it to my sweater, I'm not going to find it. That's all.
Club Twit events, and then you twirl down Club Twit events, and you should see Stacey Higginbotham's book club. Right, and then you go to the pin.
I feel like
section.
it should be.
So maybe we got to work on this. So when I'm looking at Club Twit, I have events here. That's what I clicked, but that does not include the poll.
Nope, not that.
And then
Scroll down to keep scrolling.
Keep scrolling. Keep scrolling. Keep scrrolling. There's Stacy in the best ofs. Yeah, keep scrolling.
Keep going because this is the show section.
Oh, it's under this Twit events?
No, sir.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't even know where that came from.
Keep scrolling.
But it should be down under the general section. You see the general section?
Let me know when you find it, because
I see general on my screen. That's Discord stuff.
I don't have a general.
The excitement never ends here at the Twit Farm.
Okay, this is still a work in progress, clearly. But
if I go to the terminal, I could probably get this working.
Oh gosh, please no. Please no.
Oh dear.
All right.
The books are Noor by, I'm not sure how to pronounce that author's name.
N-O-R. Cory Doctorow, Unauthorized Bread.
Mm-hmm.
And Kai Fu Lee's AI 2041.
And right now, Unauthorized Bread is leading the vote.
Yeah, because Cory is kind of has been on the show many times.
The author's name for Noor is Nidhi Okorafor.
I believe that's what you said last time.
Yeah.
Nidhi Okorafor. All right. Good. Well, thank you very much for joining us. That's it for This Week in Google this week.
Yeah, that was exciting.
This week in futzing around Twit Club.
Futzing around.
And you missed the fun part, Leo telling stories before we got on. Old guy Leo on the porch.
Oh, boy. What I could do, this is what I did. I just tagged you in that channel, so maybe it'll pop up as a notification for you.
Are we still doing this?
No, we're done. I'm done. We got a show to do, right?
Oh, wow. Big story of the week. And I don't really know if we have to talk about it on this show. I guess it impacts Google a little bit. We certainly talked about it on Windows Weekly. Microsoft has put in a bid to buy Activision Blizzard. I have to say, I loved the New York Times story on this because they said for around $70 million. It's
billion.
70 billion, big difference. $70 billion. The irony is that it's actually 68.3 billion. So somewhere in the author's mind or the headline writer's mind, they figured 1.7 billion more or less.
I mean, what is that? A bridge, a roadway? Who knows?
Just, a little bit, just a little bit. Anyway, big story because it is the largest acquisition Microsoft's ever made. It's 68.7 billion. So they left out 1.3 billion. It also is a story because this is the same Activision Blizzard that was under so much heat for its frat boy culture, for the Bill Cosby conference room, and its CEO Bobby Kotick, who'd been with the company since 1991, kind of the poster child for all this. They're being sued by the federal government. A lot of employees very upset about how the company's been run, especially women. So Microsoft's buying into this kind of toxic workplace. And Microsoft has just recently had issues of their own. In fact, they announced this week that they're hiring a white shoe law firm to further investigate allegations of mishandling sexual harassment, including from its former chairman and CEO, Bill Gates. So this is great. It's the merging of two boys' clubs.
I didn't get to catch Windows Weekly to hear Mr. Thurrott and Miss Mary Jo talk about it. But when I saw this news, the first thing that popped in my head is, why is Microsoft investing in such a mess? Because... Well, would Microsoft be liable for some of the
price?
It's a good time to invest in a mess.
Yeah, their stock price is almost half what it was a year ago. So, although Microsoft is offering a premium, but I think we concluded that it's a very good deal. It's the right thing for Microsoft to do. As expensive as it is, it's good for business. Go ahead, Stacey. I heard an and.
Oh, I was going to say it helps them set up if. You think about Netflix or Google doing any sort of streaming games platform. This sets them up for that. Plus, is it Xbox? Yes,
Xbox is their gaming platform. Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm like, wait a second. That's it.
The one I can't buy. My credit's not good enough, apparently.
Sorry, dude. So this gets them also. I mean, Microsoft, I know we don't think about it for gaming, but they have a very reputable gaming platform.
Oh, they're huge. They just bought Bethesda not so long ago.
Yeah.
They have, let's not forget Minecraft, which has been a huge success for them. And in fact, has shown that they can be a steward of a game studio and really let it do its job and make it better. I think everybody agrees Minecraft is even better under Microsoft.
Do you think Minecraft is more of a games play for them or more of an education / world building kind of play for them?
I'll tell you what my thoughts are. And I think I've been chewing over this for the last 2 hours with Mary Jo and Paul. So I have,
you have opinions.
I have opinions.
You cheat.
I cheated. I looked ahead on the test. It's actually sensible. Remember, Microsoft's under assault from Meta, right? They'd like to play in the metaverse. Microsoft is a big games player. Nobody denies that. And they will become even bigger. By the way, among other things they get with Activision Blizzard, Candy Crush. So they get King. So there's a lot of mobile. So it gives them a foothold in a form of gaming they're not particularly big in, which is mobile. Call of Duty is also available on mobile. It gives them, I think it positions them well for what I think might be the next big thing, which is esports. Football and baseball in this country are multi-billion-dollar, and in the NBA, multi-billion-dollar businesses. I think esport is poised. All we need is that one game that everybody goes, oh, this is incredible, and it's going to explode. So I think Microsoft's well aware of that. They're also, of course, a cloud company with Azure. UPS guy?
I think it's my family. Sorry. No, it is UPS. Okay, go on.
Well, here's how you tell. Are they wearing brown shorts?
Brown shorts.
I don't know. Based on the dogs, I think it's not my family because the dog would be less upset. Okay, go on. Keep talking.
But they're also a cloud company with Azure. And I think that what this is, and you pointed this out. I mean, Google with Stadia, Amazon, NVIDIA, used to be Sony, all streaming game. I think streaming games, a lot of people think might be the next big thing because you don't need a lot of hardware. It's a really good use of cloud resources. So all in all, this I think integrates beautifully with what Microsoft's business is. So as expensive as it is, it's half of Microsoft's cash position. It's a month of revenue for Microsoft. It's a significant amount of money, but they can afford it. And I think it's, in the long run, I think it's a good business proposition for them. That would be my, I'm not a businessman.
So Cory Doctorow came on Twitter and tagged a whole bunch of us saying, "Don't say that they're buying it. They're trying to buy it. They don't have permission to buy it. They could get turned down by the government." Blah blah blah. Right. Blah.
So I asked that question of Paul and Mary Jo. Microsoft addressed it in the announcement. Even with this acquisition, Microsoft is the number 3 games manufacturer. They're not in a position of monopoly at all.
Right.
Tencent is bigger. Sony is bigger. So this would not make them a behemoth by any means. Now, I think Corey's right. Under Lena Khan, the FTC I think there's this kind of regret that they didn't stop Facebook from buying Instagram and WhatsApp. Right. And so I think they're looking at all acquisitions now with a little bit of a more evil eye.
Well, you know what? Yesterday, are we going to talk about that? That's like the biggest story in tech this week, which is yesterday's FTC Department of DOJ announcement.
I think we can talk about that because, I mean, unless anybody has anything else they want to say about the Microsoft.
Well, the only thing I was going to say about Microsoft is where I was headed there was that it's so funny that they're now not the evil empire anymore. They're the nice tech company.
Well, that's the other thing.
Have you met Satya?
Not give them crap.
No, but it is an opportune.
So nice.
It is. It's an opportune time for Microsoft because while the Eye of Sauron is looking at Google and Apple, for the App Store, they're looking at Amazon,
Facebook for anything.
Facebook. Congress did not ask Satya Nadella to come testify. He was the one guy out, and I think maybe
he's the nice guy.
He's the nice guy. So I think maybe. And this does totally fit with Microsoft. The other thing, he is a brilliant CEO. He has pivoted Microsoft from being the Windows and Office company to being the cloud company. And gaming is a big part of that for him. So I think this is an opportune moment. Corey's right. I mean, it's got to get regulatory approval.
Always. Yeah.
But I think there's a good case to be made that this will not be stopped.
Who else would have bought it? Sorry.
They apparently were talking to Google. They were apparently and Google, the price was pretty high. Who were the rumors that they were talking to? Although Bobby Kotick, can I say embattled? Is that the word? The embattled CEO and founder said that Microsoft was such a natural fit. They started conversations a couple of months ago. It just was obvious this is where we should go. Of course, that's who got him, so that's what he's going to say. But apparently they went to other companies. And nobody wanted to bite that big a bullet. That's a lot of money.
With the Google perspective on here, you were mentioning why Microsoft is so successful in this. Is it because they have the Azure backbone? Because Google has just as much money and resources to be able to pull this stuff off from a cloud perspective, but it didn't work. Right.
Yeah.
Why didn't it work? Why didn't Stadia take off?
Google is the worst run company in big tech right now.
No, it's because Google makes deliciously beautiful tech and has no idea how to explain it to anybody who's actually going to use the tech.
Yeah, they have some good stuff.
So
I'll grant you that.
Any cool stuff they may have done related to Stadia, trying to communicate that to developers, and also because Google has a reputation for saying, this isn't working for me, I'm pulling the plug. And no developer, building a good quality video game takes time and effort and money. And you're not going to invest all that and have Google say, you know what, never mind.
Remember, Google bought a bunch of, they were going to do their independent studio. They brought in big people, and they folded it like 3 months later.
And then they turned around and sent them out the door.
Yeah.
Yeah, like you would never build for that if you're a gaming company, unless you're like building Candy Crush or Wordle. What are those called? Not parodies, copycats.
Yeah, clones. Yeah.
Clones, thank you.
Yeah. It's funny because Sony, which is Microsoft's big competition in the console markets, stock went down $20 billion when this was announced. Because there's a fear that Microsoft will take all these games exclusive and Sony will lose some of its biggest franchises like Call of Duty. Microsoft said right now they're not going to do that. Of course, that's really intended for the most important audience at this point, the Federal Trade Commission. So let's get to story number 2, which Stacy says is the biggest story in tech. The FTC and the Department of Justice seek to rewrite merger guidelines. They kicked off a process on Tuesday to rewrite these guidelines, a request for comment, particularly about digital markets. So go ahead, Stacy. Why is this the story of the week?
Yeah, I just realized it wasn't on our list, which, okay, this is the story of the week because...
Well, it just happened yesterday.
It
just happened yesterday. That's why.
It did just happen yesterday, and they actually
we don't usually get to things until they're 3 or 4 days old.
Yeah. We like to let them percolate. I like to find out what I think ahead of time.
Until they get a nice cheesy smell, then we want to the story.
we wait for the cacio e pepe moment, and then we dive in.
A nice rind on it, yeah.
So what they did is they put out a request for information on how they enforce mergers. And why this matters is because it's saying to the world, both the DOJ and the Federal Trade Commission are going to be looking at how they evaluate mergers. They're going to change. Well, they're looking at changing our policies. So that's a big deal.
In particular, in the digital age, what used to work does not work. And I do. I think there's this bitter regret over Instagram and WhatsApp. And I
think it's not just that. I mean, look at how Lena Khan looks at what Amazon's doing. I mean, there's tons of things. So they put out it's a request for information, and you can get a lot for how they're thinking by looking at the types of questions they ask in this. So this is like just a 10-page document. They want everybody to talk about, like, they have some things. So they're saying, hey, the way we look at M&A, do our current guidelines really work for that? The way we measure competition, does that work? Which means we could see them look at mergers more like Europe. You know how we used to talk a lot about how in the US we wait for harms to consumers. In this document, they're actually asking, hey, does this harm not just consumers, but maybe employees? Does it harm innovation at different levels? So they're actually open. This is a big deal because they're opening up a lot of things that have been established and settled law for a long time.
I suspect...
What do the statutes say, Stacey?
Well, okay, let me just say I suspect that's what Corey's talking about when he says, wait a minute, hold on, it's not a done deal. This is not... the climate has changed.
Yeah.
But that I echo Jeff's question, which is, isn't this Congress's job?
No. So what Congress does is they write laws and then they let the regulatory agencies figure it out.
Well, I would phrase it differently. They write laws that say what the mandate is for those agencies. Those agencies can only do what congressional law has said they can do.
And I could answer this question for the FCC because that's what I've covered for decades. I can't tell you what laws govern how the FTC or the DOJ look at things.
My sense of it actually is that the FCC is much more constrained by what Congress says than the FTC or DOJ is. So
probably.
Yeah, this is an interesting question, and we'd have to get a governmental expert on this.
Or just give me a week. I'll learn.
Will you? Thank you.
If you want me to.
You're our expert on everything. That's the truth.
No.
It's about restraint of trade. I'm pulling up the Sherman Antitrust Act, right? And it starts off with restraint of trade.
Well, and remember, Congress has been
consumer harm. It's different.
Congress has been addressing whether the Sherman Antitrust Act is good enough in this age, but it was always my sense that Congress has to decide that, not the FTC can't just say, well, you know, that Sherman Antitrust Act is outdated. We're going to do it differently. I don't know how much they can do that.
They can do that.
I wonder. DOJ is different because you can investigate, right? They have an investigative mandate.
Some of the things they're asking, so they're asking how should markets be defined when the potential harm to competition stems not from price increases, but from long-term or other non-price factors. So that's one of the things. They actually bring up I can never say this, Jeff, what's the word? Monopoly.
It's like monopoly, but it's a monosopy.
I'm like the colonoscopy. They're
monopsony.
Monopsony. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. So how should the guidelines analysis of monopsony power differ from analysis of monopoly power?
So a monopsony is kind of the opposite of a monopoly. A monopoly is one company that dominates a business. A monopsony is a market in which there's only one buyer for a product.
Right. And then they have a whole segment,
So it's the opposite. It's one customer instead of one seller, which is weird, but it's a big deal. Yeah.
And they also have a whole section on digital markets. So they're like, hey, how do M&A in digital markets differ from physical markets? What does that mean? There's a lot of really good questions they're asking.
That's the question, though. These are legitimate questions. They should ask them. Then what? And I think ultimately it's a court that's going to decide this, not the FTC, not the DOJ. The court, and the court's going to decide it based on established law and precedent, not on what the FTC thinks is. But the FTC can bring a court case, so can the DOJ, but the courts are going to interpret it, and I think they're going to look at the statutes.
Well, yeah, but here's how this works. You see the same thing play out with the FCC when they put out a notice of proposed something. Anyway, they do the same sort of process. So the process is this: these guys are clearly indicating with this thing that they've sent out. What's it called again?
The request for comment.
Request for comment. They're saying, hey, we're thinking about this. You've got X number of days, I don't remember how many days, to tell us your opinions. What they're going to do is they're going to come out from that, and then they're going to create new merger review guidelines. From there, everybody's going to say, oh, crikey, this is how they're going to evaluate this. What'll happen is when they apply those guidelines, the company that's affected by it and is mad about it is going to sue. And then we'll see that lawsuit come forth and the judge will say, I'm sorry, you don't have the power to do this. It needs to go back to Congress. We actually saw this happen with net neutrality and the FCC. Or the courts are going to say, keep going. So ultimately, yes, it gets decided by the courts, but this is still a very important process because it's possible that the DOJ and the FTC make it work. And with most companies that want to be, within the legal framework or with the companies that are going to be doing these deals.
I mean, if you're a tech company, this just is one more. Yeah. It's just one more thing that is kind of informing you that, hey, they're looking at us, they're paying attention, and that may be the main intent of this.
No, the intent is actually to come up with new merger guidelines. The intent is we're not going to leave this process with everybody agreeing that, oh yeah, everything we've been doing is still going to happen that way because it's so wonderful. We're going to walk out with new merger guidelines. Now, I don't know if we're going to walk out with things like, hey, you're going to have to undo those deals, like what the UK is trying to do with Meta and Giphy. But we're definitely going to have a new way of evaluating M&A, which is why it's such a big deal.
So, according to The Hill, the FTC and DOJ were tasked during the Trump administration to look at antitrust enforcement. They spent a year and a half looking at their joint guidance on vertical mergers. They voted last fall to withdraw those guidelines on a party line vote. So maybe it's in this face of this vacuum that they want to say, well, okay, we've withdrawn our existing guidelines on vertical mergers. Now what? What should they be?
Right.
And of course, this is the Biden administration, in effect. This is the executive saying, we need to pay more attention to this. I think Congress is split on this, and I don't know where the courts stand. I think so I think there are a lot of question marks. It's not sufficient for the FTC and DOJ to say, no, this is the law. They don't. They just say what we're going to investigate.
No, these are just their M&A guidelines that they're doing.
Right.
But when you're doing a deal, you do pay attention to this because let's say you want to do...
Well, you don't want to get investigated, of course. Yeah.
Well, yeah. If you're going to buy like a tiny little acqui-hire and you look at this and you're like, oh, well, now it's no longer worth it, which is why we're going to see a lot of VCs come in and talk about how, because this is going to affect their exit strategy as well. You're going to see a lot of interesting players come out and be like, oh, no. In
the RFC, the joint RFC, they said they're particularly interested in hearing about aspects of competition that the current guidelines may underemphasize or neglect, such as labor market effects and non-price elements of competition, like innovation, quality, and potential competition. I think that's reasonable. So instead of just saying, what's the harm to the consumer? How is this going to affect prices?
All of those yield a harm to the consumer.
That's
it's
right.
Just not in pricing.
They're
right. Well, that's what they're saying is our current strategy because that's all we use right now for our M&A is price, whereas the EU looks at a broader thing.
Right. Critics of antitrust, this is The Hill again, critics of antitrust enforcement over the last few decades have raised concerns of focusing solely on the effects of mergers and acquisitions on consumer prices has allowed many anti-competitive mergers to be completed freely. This is especially a point of focus for groups worried about the consolidation in the tech industry. Let me ask our tech apologist, Jeff Jarvis.
Hey. The internet defender is what
I'm sorry, defender of the internet, Jeff Jarvis. You need a little peacemaker helmet. That would be cool.
Jeff, I put in the chat a link to, and in the doc in the chat, a link to the actual document.
Oh, is this the RFC itself? That's good. That'll be good.
Yeah, I was also reading the Sherman Antitrust Act, but go ahead and ask your question. Then
So there is, on the other hand, a strong case to be made that we should let these companies, let the free market decide. Let these companies battle it out. The best case for innovation is for companies to compete as hard as they can and do the best that they can. But you think that there's, I hear Stacy groaning.
Surprisingly.
Is the issue that they aren't competing as hard as they can? They're just acquiring?
Well, I mean, a few things. One, as I reread Sherman, it's interesting. I mean, it's all about conspiracies and collusion and bad things behind the scenes, not purchases, right? So there's kind of a difference. What it was aimed for was these horrible bad tactics that Rockefeller and the robber barons of the Gilded Age did. This is different. This says, okay, we established a principle there, to Stacey's point, and now we enforce it differently. I think what's really interesting.
They're also, by the way, if you read this request for comment, they're also saying, do the guidelines properly reflect the text and purpose of the Clayton Act? They aren't saying,
I was going to say,
we're not going to replace Clayton or Sherman, but are we actually enforcing what the intent of these laws is? Are we actually doing our job?
Well, but even Clayton is about unethical business practices, price fixing, monopolies, as opposed to that's too big, or they shouldn't be together.
Clayton says
so let me
they want to prevent mergers and acquisitions whose effect may be substantially to lessen competition. And then the FTC and DOJ say, are they sufficiently clear about the circumstances in which that happens? What effects should be covered by the terms? They're saying lessen competition. Well, how do we do that? How do we avoid that?
The point I want to get to is to raise what you raised earlier, is that if you really could, Sherman turned the Wayback Machine to whatever year it was, and Facebook's going to buy Instagram. Instagram, small, they overpaid for it.
It's a perfect example.
There were farther back.
There were fewer than 20 employees. It's a perfect example.
And to say, oh my God, they should have seen, compare that to Microsoft's announcement. Now, I'm not saying Microsoft's announcement is wrong either. They're number 3 in games. One of the new players is a Chinese. Who knows? The world changes. There's a RAND report that I call upon often from the 90s that said, yeah, we've got to let this just kind of blow out and figure it out. That trying to think that we can control it now that we know where it's ending, we know where we are, is hubris and won't work very well. And so, yes, we'll make missteps and things will go wrong, but let it play itself out more. And so I think the question then becomes, we go back to our discussion of regulatory capture. And we have Facebook out there begging for regulation because they can afford it. What I fear for are the sprouts we can't see coming out of the ground yet. The competition we don't know wants to start out there because it can't. And how do you regulate to that?
So that's just a silly red herring of regulating the stuff we don't know about. I'm going after it here.
I'll take mine with mustard, thank you.
So
good for the
to say that
hearing,
we don't know what's going to happen, so we shouldn't regulate is silly. We are going to mess things up. Okay, because that's what it sounds like you're saying. And I'm like, Jeff.
No, what I'm saying is the thing I care about that I do want to regulate to is to enable future competition. But what I'm saying is because we don't know what that is, I don't know how to regulate to that. And so what happens is a lot of the regulation that occurs to date is stuff that only the big companies can afford to do and new companies can't afford to do it. And that's the unintended consequence of that regulation, is that it stifles competition because it sets the playing field at an impossible level. And so how do you regulate to avoid that is what I'm saying.
So big companies will always be able to handle regulation better because they simply have more money and infrastructure to do. So that is a good point. And lawyers, yes. But I think by setting out new guidelines, I don't think that hurts innovation because what will happen is you will have a clear set of guidelines. And yes, the companies that are big and established will play within those guidelines and manipulate them using their massive war chests and lawyers. But it also makes clear where the new innovation can come in and kind of go in the cracks. And that's how it's historically gone. So you're gonna change the field. And there are companies right now, like small companies who've been playing under the existing regime, that are gonna get screwed. That always happens.
The other way they're gonna get screwed, Stacey, is the other thing I fear is that and I don't like this world where venture money controls everything, but we are still in that world. And if there isn't, if exit paths get cut off.
Well, and that's what I was talking. The venture capitalists are going to hate this. Yes,
yeah,
but
that's what I'm saying.
There will be more investment once they figure this new thing out. Venture capital is not, I know they like to think they're a leading indicator.
Oh, no,
they're not.
They're not. No.
So they're going to try to keep everything the same so they can maintain their returns, which I don't blame them. But that's also not great for innovation because we're way down this road and we're pretty, basically all our cool stuff that gets invented to be sold to one of the big companies, sales. So
I have to say, reading these questions, this all seems completely reasonable. It doesn't presume an answer. It just says, well, here's some things we really need to look at. And in every case, they say, consistent with what Congress and the courts have, indicated.
Well, they have to say that.
Yeah, they are limited by that.
But it's also better than a knee-jerk. We got to break them up to punish them.
Yeah,
which is what you hear.
This is thoughtful, and Lena Khan, I think, is very thoughtful. Regarding that failing firms thing, there actually is a whole section, Section 15, on failing and flailing firms, in which they ask the question: in what situation should a weakened competitor defense apply? So, for instance, T-Mobile, which was failing, was denied a number of mergers, but eventually granted it. I think also of Sirius Satellite and XM, both of which were failing and allowed to merge, even though it created a monopoly. So they're asking about existing doctrine and how has it changed in the digital era. And I think these are all things you want to almost constantly ask these questions. It's appropriate at this time to say, well, markets have changed a little bit. The monopsony thing is very interesting. As an example, its effect on labor markets. If there's only one company hiring, that's a monopsony. They're the only customer for labor. Then labor has no recourse. They have no defense. They can't say, well, we're going to go across the street. So that's
in Clayton actually addresses what they call tying contracts, and that labor agreements fall under Clayton. So they have a justification for something like that.
They also talk about innovation. To what extent does a focus on product market overlaps fail to identify broader concerns about incentives to innovate, particularly given that innovation may involve the creation of new product or service categories? These are all, I think, really appropriate. Now, the question is there an answer? I think you have to acknowledge this is an imperfect system. There are going to be
50 answers.
Right.
There are going to be so many answers. And this is why we hate talking about this, because there's going to be 50 different answers depending on where you're coming from. And the FTC and the DOJ are going to have to make some calls. And they're going to be like... And
then the courts will rule, Yeah. So I think all of this is appropriate. So get back to Microsoft. I think maybe the fact that this came out the day before Microsoft announced the acquisition of Activision may not be a coincidence. Microsoft may have, because this is just a question right now. This isn't new policy. Microsoft may have thought, now's the time to jump on this
under the door
and get it in under the door before the door slams shut. So I think it's appropriate. It's interesting.
Meanwhile, before we move on from regulation,
yes.
We could be in a much better place, which of course would be Europe, line 51.
Okay. Well, before we go to line 51, let me take a little tiny time out and talk about our sponsor, because we are at the half-hour mark. Only if you don't include my long, boring anecdotes about mattresses and Francis Ford Coppola.
Or your efforts to find a simple link on the
You're definitely
Discord.
cutting that out. I took out a whole 10 minutes in the overall timing based on me scrolling up and down. By the way...
You missed it, folks. It was fascinating.
Oh, man, we edited that part out completely. But here
Leo
it is.
doing UI.
Here it is, right here. Under General, there's a little triangle. I missed the little teeny weeny triangle right there. And there it is, Stacey Higginbotham Book Club. Vote on the next book. And somewhere the vote is here. You can vote on the next book. That's one of them, Unauthorized Bread, a radicalized novella. They talk about where you can get it and all of that stuff. So it's good.
The vote,
it's good.
You go to the pinned right there. There you go.
It's good. Noor by Nedi Okafor. Cora 4, unauthorized, bred by Cory Doctorow and Kai-Fu Lee's AI 2041. You can cast your vote right there if you have a strong opinion. And then when is the next book club? It's going to be next month, I think.
Sometime next month.
March.
After we get our vote.
March, not February.
It would have to be March, right?
Okay.
Have to be after we get our vote.
Wow, I interviewed Annalie in 2018. Holy cow.
I
Yeah,
rewatched
Autonomous
that
was
triangulation.
an older book.
Yeah. Well, 3 years old, not that old.
I mean, she's got a new one out. Or
Yes.
they've got a new one out.
Yes. Our show today brought to you by IT Pro TV. If you're a viewer of any of our Twit shows, I know you are into technology, right? Maybe you've even thought, this would be nice to have a career in technology, perhaps in information technology, IT. Well, if you're not sure where to get started, I can give you your first step, and the longest journey begins with a single step at itpro.tv/twit. IT Pro TV has the knowledge, the certificates you need to break into the IT world while being very desirable to future employees. This month's theme at IT Pro TV is perfect. Getting started in IT. Gives you a great start to the new year. If you want to dip your toes into IT, check out the following courses to get started. CompTIA's ITF Plus and CompTIA's A Plus. A Plus is very often that first desktop support cert that people get. I should mention that IT Pro TV is the official video partner of CompTIA. So these are the official CompTIA courses in Security Plus, Network Plus, ITF Plus, A Plus. They also have courses this month, special courses on Linux Essentials, Microsoft 365 Fundamentals, hands-on PC build from the bench, Cisco CCT routing and switching, and Apple Certified Support Professional, the ACSP cert. These are great. There's on-demand webinars, too, lots of them, that will help you decide what part of IT you're interested in. And if you're worried that learning about IT would be dull and boring, it is anything but. All of their educators, they call them edutainers, are experts in the field, absolutely, sharing their passion, and that passion makes it fun. They make it fun, interesting, exciting. I love Adam's stuff, by the way. He's great. There's a few of these instructors that they're just so good. If you prefer shorter formats, you'll love it that the courses are all 20 to 30 minutes each. Just the right length for your lunch break or a short attention span. But they're always making new stuff. This is very important because the tests change. There's new versions of the software. Information changes. 7 studios working Monday through Friday all day to create great new content. It gets to the library in 24 hours, 5,800 hours of up-to-date on-demand content for just about every skill, every cert, every vendor. They make sure you're prepared for your exams with their virtual labs and practice tests, too. Those are really great. Oh, there's Don Pizzette. What Linux distro is right for you? That's a good one. IT Pro TV also has wonderful monthly webinars on demand you can catch up on to get more insight into the world of IT. If you're looking to break into the world of IT, get the introduction you need with IT Pro TV. Visit itpro.tv/twit for an additional 30% off all consumer subscriptions for the lifetime of your active subscription. That's a great deal. Just use the offer code TWIT30, TWIT30. Again, itpro.tv/twit. Use the code TWIT30 for an additional 30% off the lifetime of your active subscription. IT Pro TV. Build or expand your IT career and enjoy the journey. I've talked to so many of our listeners and viewers who are IT Pro TV fans. It's a natural relationship. We've been with them since the very beginning. itpro.tv/twit. Line? What line? What line is
51.
it? Whose 51. Line is it anyway?
This is the European regulators speaking.
All right.
A member of the European Commission.
Unbelievable video of EU Commissioner. Are you ready? This is from Thierry Breton. All right, here we go. Let me turn on the sound. Okay.
Yes. The ecstasy of gold.
A new sheriff in
Wait a
town.
minute, you recognize this spaghetti western?
Act.
That's Clint Eastwood.
Watch out,
Eli
disinformation.
That's the good,
Hate
the bad, and
speech.
ugly, but the soundtrack.
Counterfeit products. But new EU sanction. Lobbying efforts.
I just hope this doesn't get pulled.
I'm covering it with my whistling. What is illegal? There's a new sheriff in town, and it goes by the name of DSA. Boy, that makes me really shiver in my boots.
Boy.
What is this crap?
Really, Mr. Jarvis?
What does DSA stand for?
Digital Services Act, I think it is.
And what is it going to do? Is it going to eliminate hate speech? Is it
yes, and disinformation and everything that's wrong with
illegal content? It's just going to get rid of all of it. It's all going to be gone.
Because Europe knows what they're doing.
Because Thierry Breton is Clint Eastwood.
Yes.
In the DSA at noon. Oh, by the way, very first. Oh, nice. Peacemaker's here. Very first response tweet to this video. I'm curious, did you clear the rights to this footage? Mm-hmm. Uh-huh. Mm-hmm. Nice job, Thierry Breton. You go to DMCA jail. Spotify's getting a little bit of heat.
Just a little.
Just a little. Over Mr. Joe Rogan. Was it 17,000 scientists?
Is it really up to that?
I think something like that.
That's why they hired Joe Rogan. They wanted a little bit of heat. Now they might be getting a little too much.
It's
but
not
people are still subscribing, though.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised.
260 scientists in an open letter urged Spotify to take action over mass information events. I think they mean miss. I think the rap actually is a typo.
Yeah.
I don't get it. Maybe there's a typo in the letter. No, this is from the letter. Baseless conspiracy theories, broadcasting misinformation. They're particularly upset about a January. The letter was dated January 10th, but they're upset over a New Year's Eve episode of the Joe Rogan Experience, known as JRE to its fans, in which guest Dr. Robert Malone promoted baseless conspiracy theories. By allowing the propagation of false and societally harmful assertions, Spotify is blah, blah, blah. What is Spotify's responsibility here? Do they own Joe Rogan? No.
Yeah, they pay him a fortune.
Well, they pay him for exclusivity.
I don't know if it's
they
owned
basically
or anything, but it's still their platform, and I think they should be held responsible for it because it's their platform.
Unlike Twitter and Facebook, which is an open platform for all of us to say whatever the hell we want, they, in essence, hired him. So they are as responsible for him. You want a media analogy? That's a media relationship. Twitter and Facebook aren't, but that is.
Yeah.
They're responsible. So they can make a choice to have him or not have him. I was talking about this with my friend Pete Dominic on his podcast. And, the fear is, Pete says, if they got rid of him or something, oh my God, then he becomes a even bigger martyr for the cause of stupidity. And so Spotify put themselves in a position where, they're a little hot under the collar, as Stacey said.
Where are the 230 implications on this, if any?
They have the right to have them or not have them. That's the implication. They're not, but it is different. It's interesting, Ant. It is a question mark. I want to get one of our lawyer friends, and I have a half-hour discussion about this to drive Leo nuts. While you were gone, Stacey.
Kathy Gillis was great, and we're going to have her back. Absolutely.
Yeah, she's great.
But
you're not going to let me
whatever
talk
you
to her,
do, don't ask her about what is it? Incidental copyright?
Ancillary
copyright.
Ancillary copyright.
And of course, if you get her and Jeff talking about ancillary copyright, just
it's Leistungsschutzrecht. I'm a happy guy.
Is it worse than me on chips?
Really?
No, it's exactly the same. It was cute. It was adorable, and I enjoyed it. And I learned a lot. So it was a good conversation about ancillary copyright. But
it's a really good question, Ann. And I'm not sure because in this case they bought the content.
But wait a minute. Is a radio station responsible for what Rush Limbaugh says on the radio station?
Mm-hmm. Oh. Well, yes.
Doesn't the FCC come after the radio stations, right?
Yes, they do. Well, because that radio's so
different. It's
the New
not
York
the
Times
internet.
responsible for publishing an op-ed by Rush Limbaugh that libels someone. Yes, they can be sued.
Okay.
Yes.
Although I have to say, my syndicator, Premier Radio Networks, which carried Rush Limbaugh and still carries quite a few people, or our competitor, which carries Ben Shapiro, I mean,
They leave alone.
nobody stopped these people from saying things like what the Joe Rogan
because they're saying
worse.
awful things. They're not necessarily saying actionable.
Hannity
libelous
says, "I'm not a
things.
journalist. I'm an entertainer."
They're saying awful things, not
Joe
libelous
Joe
things.
Rogan
There's
says
nothing wrong with saying awful.
Joe Rogan says, "I'm an effing moron." Does that let him off the hook?
No,
Yes, the
that's
issue
like
here is
saying it was a joke.
Yeah, it was. I was just joking. You should decide whether you want to get a vaccine or not. I was just joking. But then this doctor comes on and says, "Well, it's much more harmful for young people, and you shouldn't get it." And I don't know. Spotify has taken the measure of pulling down some Joe Rogan content that was bad. Spotify's now
Define
shutting
bad.
down Spotify. Well, yeah, bad. Define bad. But they've pulled stuff. They've even pulled some of his shows, more recent shows. I don't know.
The issue is a moral responsibility, not a legal one.
That's a good point. Okay, there you go.
That's really the point.
There you go. It's a moral or ethical responsibility.
Yeah,
and we can
yeah.
yell all we want, but
I'm not arguing for any kind of legal
they are
action.
protected.
I'm
Yeah.
First Amendment.
Yeah.
But moral responsibility, yes.
Yeah.
I think as long as subscribers are still rolling into Spotify, Spotify is just going to keep cashing those checks.
Yeah. And I mean, they're making money on Joe Rogan, so
Theoretically, we don't actually know that.
yeah, actually, I think they probably lost money.
Okay, yeah.
To be honest,
They paid him like, what was it,
paid him
$100 million? Is that-
$100
yeah,
Have they made good on that yet?
I doubt it.
that is a substantial amount of money.
Yeah.
DirecTV has dumped OAN, your favorite network.
Yes. Yes, because especially it came out there. This is bad publicity. This is a moral, not panic, a moral issue and it was a business issue where when the stories came out that AT&T was the primary supporter of OAN, was their biggest revenue source. That doesn't make us look too good.
Do they
And
own
so-
DirecTV?
Wait, that sounds more like a commercial and not a moral issue, Jeff.
But the reason it's a commercial issue is because people have a moral objection.
Right. So I don't know if they actually funded OAN. It was indirect. But you're right. I mean, that's why AT&T.
Well, they were a revenue source to them.
Yeah. So AT&T, which does own DirecTV, apparently has decided to, I don't know, maybe just DirecTV is autonomous. Anyway, they're not renewing the contract for OAN. But I think that's related because OAN is also a source of a lot of weird disinformation and propaganda and conspiracy theories, even if you like it a lot. OAN's market, according to Brian Stelter, this is a couple of years ago, OAN's total subscriber count is far lower than Fox News or even Newsmax. It's half Newsmax.
Tiny.
So it's a
But that
tiny
doesn't matter.
Yeah, because
It's
it is a crazy person network. Have you watched
I've never
OAN?
seen it. Is it? I should watch it.
Oh, yeah.
Is it entertaining anyway? If you don't mind your
People
blood
find white
pressure.
apocalypse funny.
Yeah, I was like, it's only entertaining, except you were like, oh, no, people actually believe this. Nope, it's not entertaining anymore.
They claim that COVID was created in a North Carolina lab.
Would surprise me.
We all thought it was funny, but that's how we got here. We
Yeah.
laughed at that.
Yeah.
And oof.
Well, and that's the same thing with Joe Rogan. He says, I'm a comic. I'm making jokes. How about...
this is not on the rundown, but Brandy Zadrozny, if you know of her, she's a brilliant reporter.
Oh, yeah. That story with
It's
the
really
January
good.
6th person.
Yeah. And Brandy's great because she's what I love about her is that she's a librarian who became a reporter who reports on the worst of conspiracy theorists and awful things. But she's still a librarian, right? I love that combination, and she's very good at it. She had a really good story. She spent a year on, not like the New York Times saying, "Let's go visit a Nazi and find they eat in Panera." This is somebody who tried to really understand what was going on in his head. Somebody who got up to the steps of the Capitol on January 6th and then said, no.
This is from
And what happened in that process?
This is from
It's a very good
NBC. Escape from
That's
QAnon, how January 6th changed one person's path.
So
And
the
it's
point
about
here
a
is
guy
back
changed his
OAN
mind.
and places
basically.
like that.
Yeah.
They're not she makes the point, there's no one source. It's not like, oh, Facebook, then I turn off Facebook, everything's okay, or turn off OAN, everything's okay. No, it's a whole bunch of stuff that feeds in. Media have a major role here. And once he was primed to believe crazy stuff, his first one was the pizza conspiracy and Hillary Clinton.
Right.
Well, it could be.
Right.
And once he was down that rabbit hole, there was nothing but down toward the center of the earth to go. And a lot of things push him there. And so OAN doesn't have to have a large audience.
Yeah. His experience, I've had that experience when you're in a mob. In my case, it was anti-Vietnam protests in the 70s. But when you're in a mob, and he talks about, he says, I saw their eyes change. You know, when somebody gets really angry and you just feel like they're going to go nuts, I feel like I was watching people get radicalized. And that's what happens in a mob.
I was in much more mellow anti-moratorium marches, Leo. What kind of nasty marches were you in? We were all trying to save the world.
Well, we thought we were trying to save the world, but in particular one, in the mining of Haiphong Harbor. Do you remember that, when we mined the harbor? And it was in Santa Cruz. I was in high school still. And somebody decided we should march down Ocean Street and block the highway exit. Go out and block Highway 10 or Highway 1, I guess it was. And I have a vivid memory of this. I was carrying a Viet Cong flag. And in fact, I believe, in case anybody wants to keep me from running for president, you'll find a picture on the front page of the Santa Cruz Sentinel of me holding a Viet Cong flag.
Oh, my.
I thought, well, there goes my political career. But, oh, shucks. But I remember
you became an actor.
Getting, I didn't think this was a good idea. I thought this is just going to piss people off. But you get swept away by it. And then they started rocking cars. And I could see how you slowly, gradually escalate. And then the next thing you do is you set a car on fire. And if you're angry enough, and it doesn't take, that's the point, is maybe it's only 10% of the crowd. But it spreads. It's infectious.
Yeah, I covered the Harvey Milk
you get angry
after Dan White in San Francisco. And yes, I saw that.
Yeah. And so
I organized a moratorium march that was very mellow. And
I went to all the teach-ins and the mellow things. I did that too, I'm going to take off sixth period. I'm going to a teach-in up at the university. Okay?
Wow.
My parents were hippies. It was okay. I was allowed. You know how paths diverge in the woods,
We're back on the porch, Grandpa.
So let me tell you.
Tell stories about the 60s.
Here it comes.
All right, I'm going to stop right there. But I do understand this article. I mean, it has nothing to do with anything, but I do understand this article that Brandy Zadrozny wrote and reported on for NBC. And I understand this guy, which is interesting because I don't think most people pull back from the brink. I think you get sucked into it.
Right, exactly.
And I think he had a unique perspective where he went, whoa, this is getting out of hand.
Well, his family, he arrived home. His family could see where he was on his phone. They knew he was at the Capitol. They were afraid to death. He arrives home and they did an intervention. Yeah. And it was the kind of a light bulb moment to say, oh, like, what was I thinking?
Yeah.
What's fascinating about this too is Brandy, who I respect immensely as a journalist, on Twitter said she has a Miranda statement that she gives to sources.
That's smart.
And she tells them, if this is going to affect your life.
Yeah, that's really smart. And, all journalists should do this. You should write this up and take it to your
And this
class.
guy, the story took 3 months longer because he wasn't ready 3 months ago. And now he was ready and gave her permission. They changed his last name. But people
changed his name, right?
But really, really interesting piece because it's not that usual. Let's go to the diner and understand what the crazies are saying.
Yeah,
this was trying to understand his real thinking, and it's valuable. Yeah. So,
I don't think everybody gets a Miranda. Like, I will talk to people and explain to them, look, you are clearly on the record when you talk to me, but I would say it's a very rare story that I would like. If it's like more of a human interest, I know this feels more than a human interest, but it is kind of human interesty. But otherwise, no. In certain people in certain positions of power, you know what you're doing, and if you don't,
I think Stacey, you're right.
If you're talking to a
supposed
politician, you don't need to Mirandize them.
Okay, I was like, I am not Mirandizing.
No, not a PR.
You're not doing that
not a
to a
PR
CEO.
professional. No, but when you're talking to a normal person and you're about to write a story that is going to change their life, I think it's appropriate to be honest and forthright.
Okay, yes, I will. I will.
And I bet you do things like say, I just want you to know I'm recording this, et cetera.
I do it when I even do it for the CEO of a startup because I have had so many of them just say the dumbest things to me. I'm like, I am not your friend.
Yeah. They should know that, but they don't often, or they don't.
Some of the, like, if they have PR representation, I don't go out of it. But if it's like, there's a lot of people who listen to the show and they're like starting up a company and they're trying to do something cool. And I'm like, hey, I'll write about your gadget. But then I'm pretty clear with them because they're like,
this is going to change your life. You are going to sell 1 million
no, I don't
units.
do that.
Are you ready? Hey, speaking of which, I blame you for the success of NanoLeaf. You were the first person that told me about it. And then Micah Sargent. They are retiring those original HomeKit light panels that you showed us. But that's good news.
They're not HomeKit.
Collector's items, Stacey.
They're not HomeKit?
Well, they work with Apple, but they're not home. This was pre-HomeKit. They launched these in 2016.
But they're 50% off now if you want to snag them.
They're not going to sell anymore. You can only buy expansion packs for the original triangles for till they run out. Now, I did ask them. I said, hey, how long are you going to do security updates and support? And the answer, if you're wondering, since we're talking about it, I'm just going to tell you, they are going to offer it indefinitely. Customer support and app features will be available, including group scenes, allowing users to control their light panels with current and future NanoLeaf products. So all of that is still going to stay. And I even, a year after this, they launched the NanoLeaf canvases. And I was like, are we going to expect those to become a legacy product in a year or so from now? And she's like, at this time, there are no plans to transition. So
what was normally, say, $680 for the 30-panel Rhythm Starter Kit is now $419. Expansion panels, that's not quite half off, but a pretty significant reduction. So if you've thought, I'd like to have these Wi-Fi controlled LED panels.
They're 30% off the light panels promo and 50% off accessories. I'm so sorry.
Well, it said the article we were reading said 50, so you were not mistaken.
I'm reading the original press statement.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I see. The article says up to.
Up to.
I hate that.
Up to.
As little
words.
as. Yeah. All right. So anyway, that's. But the thing they're replacing it with is better.
The NanoLeaf shapes, it is, and they've done a really okay. Let me just be real for y'all for a second. I've now had my elements.
Please and thank you.
You're always real, Stacey.
I know.
I've never known
this
you
means
to not be.
The secret here, when I say I'm going to be real, that means I'm about to say something bad about something.
I know. She's
NanoLeaf
Mirandizing
elements.
us. Yes.
So change your life. They suck.
Oh, no.
They are the most frustrating product I have.
You never told us that before, young whippersnapper.
So this is, I was in love with them, and then I updated it to the thread border router because, it's a thread border router, and I love Matter.
Right. Who doesn't love Matter?
And then they started getting wonky. And I was like, They would do things like turn on in the middle of the night for no reason. They would do things like not turn on at all. And I was like,
awesome.
what the?
It sounds like the IoT life, frankly.
It is kind of. So, and then what happened is I talked to them and they were like, it's a software update. Only a few people are affected.
It's an IoT life for us.
Yeah.
An IoT life for us. Lights go on, they go off. I don't switch, I don't know. It's an IoT life.
Just because it's in bad taste.
They promised an update. The update came through. It did not fix the problem of them randomly turning on, which is why I'm finally giving up on them. And I think if they don't, I've emailed them again this week. I was like, look, if these don't stop turning on in the middle of the night, I mean, we have to literally unplug them when we go to bed. You know, are we going to fix this? Or
Dwindle
is this...
has the elevator pitch for these when they came out. He says the elevator pitch was disco floors for your wall.
That's not bad.
I think Dwindle's got it.
So I can't recommend them anymore. So don't buy them because their software is glitchy and if you do buy them, don't put them anywhere near a room that you sleep.
I learned that way back when with the first Hue lights.
Okay, those
Many
are
moons
fine, and they
ago.
fixed the issue.
I know they fixed it, but that was it on Hue for me.
What's
Yes,
on
sir.
top of your IoT buyer's remorse list?
Right now, that is the device causing the most pain in my marriage.
Do you still have them on the wall?
They're still on the wall.
Does Andrew do
And
things like, Stacy, the nano leafs are on again?
Okay, 2 nights ago, 4 a.m, they had turned on at 1:30, and I turned them off. At 4 a.m, he pokes me hard in the shoulder, and he's like,
As
"The
he
nano
should.
leafs are on
Your
again."
lights.
As
Did he
he
say
should.
your nano lights?
As he should.
So,
Nailed it.
Yep.
yeah. When Andrew suffers,
I know.
Oh, yeah.
Have I told
Well,
you the
well,
story of the mattress pad that cools?
I feel your
Please do
pain,
tell it
man.
again,
I really
Brett.
do.
Please do tell it again. You missed a great story, folks.
No. Because we got to end the show by 5, y'all.
You know, it was 10 years ago today.
Was it SOPA?
A victory
Yeah.
for the good guys. The
Yeah,
last
I remember.
great victory for the good
I remember
guys.
this well, John. Remember we went black and white for the whole day. SOPA, which was this, what was that state? It was the Stop Online Privacy Act. Piracy, not privacy.
Piracy.
Stop Online Privacy
I'm in
Act.
favor of the Stop the Privacy Act.
Yes.
That's
Boy,
fine
this
with me,
show
yeah.
has changed.
It was the largest, even to this day, the largest online protest ever. SOPA was, Congress was considering it, but the blackout, which was 24 million people did it. Many sites just went dark. That was the most how you did it, which is a black page. We didn't want to go dark that day. So in support, we went to black and white. We became all of our shows were black and white that day, which I think was good. And we wanted to keep doing it and during the show say, here's why we're black and white. Here's what you could do. It worked. Congress was spooked by the whole thing. They killed the bill in 2012. And no significant copyright legislation has been introduced in the 10 years since. So that was a big victory.
Amazing victory
It
for
was.
digital activism, and it also set actually a lot of things in motion for how activists deal with issues online. So it's definitely not just our websites going dark but even like how people communicated about it in Twitter and shared information. It was and remember they got us to they set up like a bunch of Twilio kind of things where you could automatically dial your congressman and leave message. I mean,
brilliant.
It was
well organized.
Maybe not the beginning of digital activism, but it was a case study that helped
But
give
let
us
us
best
know.
practices for digital activism.
It's a bunch of white geeks fighting for the technology. Where is the effort to do the same right now for voting rights?
Good point.
I wish we could see the same kind of mobilization.
Good point. Now,
To save the bloody democracy.
in its defense, SOPA was a direct attack on the internet, so it was reasonable for the internet to respond that way. But I think you're right. I just don't think there's a unity in the same way as the internet had unity over that, in the same way over voting rights. I think that's a.
Well, I think some leadership could get us
issue.
there if somebody would stand out and
Well,
say
I
we're
agree.
going to bring a bat signal. It's a bat signal.
Here's what when Lisa and I watch the TV and we go, I just say, you know what? There's only one solution to this, which is elect more Democrats. The reason people like Kirsten Sinema and Joe Manchin have so much power is we have a razor thin majority. If there were 60 or 70 Democrats in the Senate, this wouldn't be happening. So in a way, this is reflecting the will of the people. This is who got elected. So,
well, I mean, okay, but no, we're not going to talk about it. Let's not do this.
it's politics. I'm just saying, it's not like
He's already lost every
Joe,
Republican. So
it's not like Joe Biden's blowing it.
No,
There's
I'm just
50
saying,
Democrats. It's
hard. It's hard to elect Democrats because there's gerrymandering. There's also the fact that it's hard to elect Democrats because, no, it's true. If you've got 2 senators and, California sends 2 and North Dakota sends 2.
We have a structural problem. The Electoral College is broken too, but that's the way it is. So if you care about that, Democrats, if this is something that's an issue for you, here's what you do. You don't say White House should do something about it. You go out and you elect Democrats. You go campaign for them, you fundraise for them, and you get them elected because that's the way to solve this. That's the way to solve the filler. The filibuster just reflects the fact that we don't have a supermajority, period. I shouldn't say Democrats don't have a supermajority. So that's the solution. I mean, it's not... Go out and get people elected. That's the way.
But if you can't give water to the people who vote, if they have to wait 6 hours to vote, in certain places,
there's a lot of people trying hard to make this hard and imbalanced. I understand that. You have to overcome that.
Okay.
But there is a path. That's the path. Instead, people are going wah, and comes November of this year, you're going to really be crying when we lose the House and the Senate.
Yeah, and meanwhile, media, my damn colleagues who should never be allowed to predict the future are just presuming that it's lost because it was in the past.
Right.
They didn't predict.
Yeah, midterms.
The
incumbent usually loses the midterms. But I'm just saying, wah is not the answer. Go out, do something, fundraise if you care about this. There is a path, but you've got to follow it. You can't just whine about it and say, well, it's Joe Biden's job to do it. No.
Action.
Bernie Sanders is not going to convince Kyrsten Sinema and Joe Manchin to change. You know what it is? Who is? The voters. So go vote. And admittedly, it's an uphill battle because of things like the Voting Rights Act.
I think it's an impossible battle. You should look at how Texas oh my God.
I know. It's terrible.
Because the same structural inequities that are...
But that happens because there's a Republican legislature in Texas.
Right, but we have a Republican legislature in Texas because the people in certain areas have the people in liberal areas have half the people representing them. I mean, it's the same structural issue. So that's why we have... Why are we talking? No.
Well, it's a good thing to talk about. But let's talk about SOPA and PIPA. This is a really good report. I found this in the Tech Talk article by Yochai Benkler at the Berkman Center. A couple of years after the big protest. Look at this.
He has a book based on this.
Yeah, yes. Yochai loves these things, these network maps. This is where the big dots are where the organization happened. Look, TechTurk's a big dot there, right there. It's almost as big as CNET there. So this is, and Wikipedia went dark. I remember that. That was a big deal. Somewhere there's a little dot for Twit here somewhere.
Somewhere there's a little dot for GigaOM. I remember planning our coverage.
There's Boing. There's Gizmodo.
This was a decade ago.
Hard to believe.
I know, don't you?
I remember turning on the stream, just plain as day. I can see it right now in just black and white like it happened yesterday. This is a decade ago.
That's neat. It was a tough decision because I really wanted to support it. I really was a strong believer, but I also didn't want to go.
We also had to talk about it. We had.
That's what we. That's we ended up doing something similar because we were like, we can't as a news site.
Right. 10 years ago.
I recommend Yochai Benkler's Network Propaganda, which is
he's great
of that.
And the wealth of networks. And you know what he does, which is great. He offers them for free. As a kind of Creative Commons download. You can buy the book, and you should, but you can also download it for free if you want. At least he did that with the Wealth of Networks. I don't know if he did it with the... I
don't know if it was for the letter one.
I think that's his policy anyway.
If the publisher lets you.
If the publisher lets you, right? Hey, big props to IO. Do you know who IO is? IO, it's off to work we go. This is a court action, a landmark, kind of like the SOPA PIPA battle, a landmark copyright decision. IO is in Hamburg, Germany. We've talked about them before. They run a number of ad blocking tools, extensions. AdBlock Plus is the best known. They went to court over whether
Springer went to court against
Axel
them.
Springer said.
Axel Springer said
Berliner Mauer, IO's ad blocking violates our copyright because it looks at our HTML on our website. So IO, to their credit, fought this, and this is in Hamburg, and IO won. This is the 16th time IO has prevailed against lawsuits and defended the rights of internet users, code developers, publishers. In 2021, the lawsuit was brought by Axel Springer, which is the big publisher, right? They publish a lot of stuff.
They're also the kind of the Fox.
They're the Murdoch of
Germany. Bild is the very conservative tabloid paper.
The lawsuit sought to dictate that the HTML language used to render a website page should be protected under copyright law, which would make it illegal for any technology or even an individual to change the appearance. So if you ever use your own custom CSS to make the page look different, if you make the text bigger, is that violating the copyright? Maybe. Of course, the W3C, the World Wide Web Consortium, and a lot of us believe that that's the whole premise of the web is that you should be able to modify that.
I mean, IO's model, though, has always been questionable to me, where we have we block ads, except unless you pay us, and we'll let them through.
I don't. Well, that's why they have the money to fight this. So,
I know.
Okay, I don't recommend AdBlock Plus. We always tell everybody use uBlock Origin. It's free. Because Gorsuch, the guy who does it, Gorsuch is somebody else. The guy who does it is kind of cantankerous, doesn't want to make money on it. He just hates ads. So he makes the best ad blocker out there. But he has no money, no wherewithal to fight Axel Springer. So on the other hand, Springer, I think, understands that IO is probably much more of a problem for them. So the Hamburg court rejected the copyright argument and once again decided in favor of IO. And thanks to them, you can still use HTML in any way you want to. It's still an open standard. Thank you. And yeah, IO has this acceptable ad standard thing where we've talked about this before. Where
over the years.
You know, on that, I understand that's a problem on the one hand, but on the other hand, it's because it's how they have the money to fight this stuff. So.
I actually put this story on the rundown first in German because it's the only version I could find.
Thank you for finding the English one. I had bookmarked it as well.
The non-German version.
The other one. I had bookmarked it as well, maybe into English. You see Crypto.com everywhere. Have you seen and I know you watch football. You cannot watch a football game without Matt Damon saying, fortune favors the brave.
That commercial confuses the heck out of me every time I watch it. But I'm still more fascinated by the fact that they bought the naming rights to the Coliseum in Los Angeles.
Staples Center.
And they are all over F1. No one's watching F1 now.
They got a lot of money.
Over.
No, they got a lot of money. Crypto.com.
Yeah, it's like, wow.
I have some strong feelings. I'm starting to have stronger feelings about NFTs and crypto, that it's a scam. All in told, it's a scam. But I know that will make people yell at me, so I won't say it out loud. However,
okay.
I see.
I was thinking that. Did I say that out loud?
Did you say that?
It's a scam. No, because I know that I'm uphill on this one, and everybody says, no, it's a great thing, and it's going to change the world. I think all it's doing is a big transfer of wealth from the suckers into
from stupid to smart,
the bros.
Or stupid bad to good, or good to bad.
I don't think stupid and smart is right. I think it's suckers and bros, or con men, P.T. Barnums. Yeah. And anyway, Crypto.com just suffered a hack.
Are we going
to
talk about my favorite story of the week?
Well, let me finish this story, and then we will.
Okay, fine. Okay.
Crypto.com just suffered I was just explaining the background.
Oh, sorry, yes. I'm sorry. I forgot. It was the intro. It's like a Morning Joe question that goes on forever.
Wow.
So much love.
Popcorn. I need my popcorn.
So much love.
Just trying to do my job here. Do you think I'm verbose?
Sorry.
Have I been verbose?
I'm embarrassed that I forgot you were doing a story. So I had to lash.
No, Jeff was on Twitter while you were doing that, Leo.
I
and
heard
so
him
Jeff
type in
lost
his
his train of
tweets.
thought.
This guy is so verbose. He never stops
earlier, but I
talking. When
was
is
not.
it my turn?
I don't care. I don't even like this story. What's your story, Jeff?
No, it's the related one. It's the Dune guys, the Dune dorks.
Oh, I love this story. Okay, this one I can really dig my teeth into.
Yeah.
So you know what a
it's
DAO
related.
is? A DAO is
Derps
Distributed?
and
derps and derbers. No, it's distributed. Anyway, it's the idea. The first DAO. I
Oh,
heard
no,
about-
decentralized autonomous
Decentralized.
organization.
It's a decentralized autonomous organization, which is basically a group of people get together to try to raise money. The first one I heard about was to buy the Constitution, a copy of the Constitution DAO. Well, this is the bet. This
is
DAO.
better.
This summarizes the whole problem. So there was a DAO put together to buy a copy of Dune, the book. It's called the Spice DAO because, as you know, in Dune, it's all about the spice. They raised.
Keep going.
They raised 2.26 million euros to buy a book. There's the book, a rare copy, I guess.
only 10 copies extant.
Yeah, of it's not even Frank Herbert's Dune. It's like some sort of graphic novel or something. So their goal now, they raised all this money from all these suckers. Contributors. Their goal is to make the book public to the extent permitted by law, which is none.
Well, they edited
that.
in a little after
Produce
that.
an original animated limited series inspired by the book and sell it to a streaming service, support derivative products from the community. They apparently think that if you buy a book, like if you go to the bookstore and you buy a copy of the latest Danielle Steele novel, that you have now the rights to make a movie out of it. It doesn't work that way. But apparently
I thought that was people making fun of. I didn't actually think that's what they thought, but that's actually what they thought.
That's real
people
talk.
looked into it. Yep. But because I thought there were actually two stories that were done early on this. I forget which one I put in the Kotaku. There was also a BuzzFeed version that linked to another report that said that, well, after this guy supposedly put in 3 million euros of his own to prime the pump here and get it going, then he supposedly raised something like 12 million euros to make the damn movie. So the question is, was this, to prove your point, Leo, just a front to raise a lot of money from a lot of idiots?
This is Alejandro Jodorowsky, who is, according to BuzzFeed, legendary.
For what?
I don't know.
Yeah, I'm like, okay.
So they have apparently they raised the money and liberated his Bible for a movie, which was never produced. Orson Welles was going to play the Baron Harkonnen. Mick Jagger had signed on, I'm not sure for which part. Pink Floyd had agreed to do the music, and Salvador Dali would play the Emperor of the Universe. By the way, Dali's fee was $100,000 per minute of screen time. He printed 20 luxurious volumes detailing the screenplay, illustrations, and designs. He called it Director's Bible. That's commonplace with the TV show. You make a Bible, which is kind of like everything you need to know about this. The studio said, yeah, no. And the film was never made. There have been other adaptations, as you know. Over time, the Bibles, this is the BuzzFeed story, attained almost religious status among reverential scholars and sci-fi obsessives. It vanished from the public eye until this November, when number 5 of the 20 came up for auction at Christie's. Appraisers thought it would sell for $40,000. They never heard of Bitcoin, baby. The winning bid, $2.9 billion. I'm sorry, million. It should have been billion. Million. Placed by Soban Saqib. He's a 25-year-old cryptocurrency nerd, NFT collector, and this is the most important part, freshly minted millionaire from Woodland, California. He says, this is pretty much my entire liquid net worth, but I fronted the $3 million knowing that the community has my back. The community is the Spice DAO, this cryptocurrency distributed autonomous organization. So apparently, by the way, a week later, they went back and said, we need $6 more million to buy.
That's the thing. That's
to buy the Bible.
Buy a copyright lawyer.
Another $2.2 million to make an animated film inspired by the vision. I guess that makes sense. If Jodorowsky is behind this, he's saying, yeah, it's okay. You make the movie. He probably is the one who has the copyright for it.
Well, but he doesn't have the copyright.
He doesn't have the copyright for Dune.
No.
Well, so call it June or Spoon.
June.
And hire
the
some more
Spice
lawyers.
Chronicles.
The Spice Chronicles.
The Pepper Chronicles.
The Book of
With
Spice.
The Spice Boys.
The Spice
the
Boys.
Spice Boys.
Yeah. This is not Sobe's first NFT. He sold in August an NFT that looks like Odell Beckham Jr. He sold it to Odell Beckham Jr., who was on the LA Rams.
Unbelievable.
Himself for $2.7 million worth of the. This is where he got the $2.7 million. It was a CryptoPunk of OBJ.
Mm-hmm.
I know, Ant, you have NFTs, and I don't want to rain on your parade.
No, sir. I've said before, I have a love-hate relationship with it.
I know you're not scamming anybody at all.
No. Yeah. I look at stuff like this and it burns me up.
It ruins it for you.
Yet then there's a lot of other artists out there that are making some unbelievable art and they're getting stiffed. But yet somebody just throws 8 pixels on the screen and it's popular, really?
Yeah.
When you pay gas money, whose pocket does it dump?
The miners.
Whose pocket does that go into?
That's the miners. Yeah. So this is one of the elements of crypto is that not only does the initial coin have to be mined by a computer or a bunch of computers doing hard math problems, but it also all transactions have to be registered in the blockchain by a miner. So miners can do either, they can, or both, and many do, and you make money for either. In the case of mining, you get the crypto. In the case of verifying transactions, putting transactions in the blockchain, you get paid some crypto. And often, if you notice, when you do a transaction, I've seen this with Bitcoin, you can decide how fast you want that transaction to occur. And if you are willing to pay more Bitcoin to do it, your transaction will occur quickly. Bitcoin is very sluggish, and so sometimes the transaction might
usually
take
half an hour.
Or days even. Maybe it's down to half an hour now. So you can, in other words, if you don't pay anything, it may take days or may never be registered. So I think it's honestly,
Personally, I'm looking at some of the other options.
Yeah. The people who cheerlead this are, I think, mostly people who stand to make money for it, probably.
Yeah.
Frankly.
Yeah.
And it's a pyramid
underlying
scheme in the
technology
sense that the people who own, say, NFTs can't say this is bunk because the whole premise is they got to find somebody else who'll pay more than they paid for it. So they've got to promote it up. So it's kind of this ginned up propaganda. It's a bubble.
Yeah, I've moved my stuff. Well, I'm still in the process of moving it all. I'm trying to move it to something beyond Ethereum and all of that gas stuff, because there's other protocols out there that are a lot cheaper, and people are still buying art.
I will sell you a print of my photo.
I do that too.
Signed and numbered.
That seems to be an relatively honest transaction to me.
I do that too.
Signed and numbered, and now you have it. And maybe you don't have the provenance of this photo on your blockchain, so you can't prove it's signed and numbered by Aunt Pruitt. But I don't think that's the end of the world. At least you have a photo you could put on your wall.
Right. And the thing is, my audience or / customers or what have you are the people that could care less about blockchain authenticity. If it says it came from me, they're probably happy, Yeah.
I think, honestly, if you're a big Dune fan, you might want to own this book and have it on your coffee table. Awesome. Now, for only a few $100s, you can own a link to something. What? I don't know. You own the right to resell the link, which is, I think, what this is all about.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Again, it's a love-hate relationship for me, because I do like the idea that artists can continue to have another revenue stream for their work. But at the same time, it can cost that artist a lot of money and a lot of headache. And then there's ways of getting ripped off with just people right-clicking and downloading, or the hack, as we saw on Crypto.com. So but it can go. But art is stolen and pirated or what have you in regular life outside of the digital world. You know, so I mean, the risks are there either way you look at it.
No, that's true. What's cool is Saqib actually bought the physical book. He has the book now, and it sounds awesome. It's got illustrations by H.R. Geiger and Mobius and Jean Giraud. That's Jean Giraud. And so, I mean, it's really, this is
Who was bidding against him to get to that price?
I don't know. But I could see.
How did that process
If
work?
you love these guys and you love Dune, this is historic, and there's only 20 of them, so it has value. Yeah. I don't know. Christie's,
Well, it has scarcity.
Christie's thought it'd be worth 40,000, not 2.some million.
Right, so how did it get from there to, I mean, what did they, I'm going to bid $5. I'm going to bid 2.6 million.
Is there another Dow?
Yeah, that's the thing. It's something. I think everybody, what I love about this story is everybody's looking at it and saying, no, they can't be that stupid. No, they can't be. And so either they are that stupid, or it's a scam.
I think it
was almost as stupid.
We don't know.
I think after reading the BuzzFeed story, I think it's a little bit misrepresented that they thought, oh, good, now we can make this movie. I think they must have known better. But on the other hand, now they want to raise more money to make the movie.
But
Anyway, I don't know. Look, if you want to throw your money away, go right ahead. There's worse things to do with your money.
There are also better things.
There are much better things. You could buy some nanoleafs.
yeah, exactly.
Wait, no. That's not an option.
You can annoy
Listen
your
to
husband.
Stacy.
Let's take a
She'll
break.
sell you hers.
Let's take a break. Hey, I do want to tell you about something that everybody, now that we are, in year 2? Oh my
Unfortunately.
God. It soon will be year 3, won't it? If you have people going back to work, of course, you want to have your huddle room well equipped for meetings. You don't want to have to make people sit side by side. You want to be able to have people socially distanced. But this means your audio suffers, doesn't it? No, it doesn't, because Noreva solves this problem. Normally, I mean, I think if you've ever set up a big audio conferencing room, especially the big ones, the larger ones, you realize how expensive it can be. You've got to design it. You've got to hire a team to install it, technicians to configure it, a dizzying array of mics, speakers, DSPs, and then there's the wires. And it's just crazy. Your room will be offline for days and will have to be regularly calibrated. Noreva is so much better. They have something they've patented called the microphone mist technology. All it takes is depending on the size of the room, 1 or 2 integrated microphone and speaker bars. They fill the room with thousands of virtual microphones. There's no dead zones. Everyone in the room can be heard no matter which way they're facing. It means people can talk and move naturally in the space. They can socially distance. You don't have to sterilize microphones or anything, because it's all in this soundbar, which you, by the way, can mount. You don't need some fancy guy coming in. You can just hang it up on the wall yourself. Noreva's sound microphone mist technology continuously auto-calibrates, so your room is instantly and always ready with optimized audio. You don't need an outside technician. This installation is trivially easy. You can do it yourself. Or, you can get, your handy guy to come in and do it. It's a simple thing. Management's simple, too. You get a Noreva console, so you have multiple Noreva rooms. You can monitor, manage, adjust the systems, and you don't even have to be on site. So IT doesn't have to go from room to room. They can do it all remotely if they need to. So, this is the installation. In fact, you should go to the website and find out all about it. NUREVA.com. NUREVA.com. By the way, it's also an attractive solution. It's kind of magic. When people come into the conference room, they'll say, where are the mics? Where should I talk to? Which way should I face? Any way that you're comfortable. because you're going to be clearly hurt no matter where you are. Ask yourself, do you want to go with that costly, crazy, complicated, traditional system or make the leap to the simple and economical Nareva? I think I know the answer. N-U-R-E-V-A, Nareva.com. N-U-R-E-V-A, Nareva.com. What a great way. What a great way to get that huddle room sounding good. And you know I'm all about good sound. Really important. And who of us hasn't had a horrible experience, with the phone in the middle of the table or, it's just, you can do better. Nareva.com. Thank you, Nareva, for supporting our fine program. We talked about, go ahead. Oh, I'm sorry. You're just saying woohoo. Woohoo. I'm so used to Jeff saying line 29 that I thought.
Can I go back to the derps for 1 second?
Yes, derps, Dow derps.
So the Dow derps. Because I happened to look at Twitter, even though I'm not allowed to. I did. There's a guy named Mike Dunford, who's a lawyer who was trying to give them advice. And one angle I hadn't thought of here is the tax situation. Yeah. He says that you made an agreement to raise money under certain promises, and that gives you all kinds of legal issues. That's one. The other one that occurs to me is somebody now got a whole bunch of money, and doesn't that somebody owe a whole bunch of money?
I don't know.
I guess so.
Christie's, I guess, and whoever
buying and
this.
holding art is subject to different tax arrangements because it's considered a collectible.
Oh.
Uh-huh.
So collectibles, and don't ask me what the rules are because I don't remember. But collectibles, they're different for inheritance taxes. They're different when you buy it. Yeah. Have fun.
Okay.
By the way, if you do go to forum.spicedow.xyz, you can read what they're proposing to do. One of the things is to upload individual pages so that the ownership is democratized and then burn the books.
Yeah, that's
No, that's a bad idea. Never burn anything that involves burning a book.
It is
never
optional.
a good idea.
It is optional. You don't have to.
That's like taking a Gutenberg Bible, cutting it up into pieces, making Xeroxes of it, and then burning it.
Here, by the way, is it's both a meme and a bell curve. The meme and bell curve of what people want to do. Of course, on the thin ends of the bell curve, burn the book, and burning achieves many goals at once. In the middle, the fat wedge. No, you cannot burn the book, which is our single asset. But that's only 34%. So it's definitely, we got a ways to go.
All right. Thank you for that.
A 1 megabyte page would cost 177 M gas approximately, which at a cost of 100 GWEUIs per gas results in 18 ETH per page. Yeah, I'd bark too.
Thank you, Biscuit.
That's the gas fees, or 18 ETH. That's cray-cray. Oh, and the guy who wrote this is, of course, anonymous. Pseudo-anon, ex-EE postdoc in a university, now full-time in crypto, inventor of JPEG mining.
JPEG mining.
I'm sorry, I shouldn't be skeptical. It's the wave of the future.
Lucky students who don't have that person anymore.
How's your Wordle score, Jeff?
Get them fired up now.
I thought I blocked that word everywhere.
You got it in 3? I would have got it in 3, but I guessed the less obvious version of the word, and I got it in 5. I should have.
I'd rather see you do user interface than this.
Okay, let's do user interface. You said it, not me. Let's see what else. This is another one, kind of like the other one. An Austrian watchdog, I think that would be pronounced watchdog. How do you say watchdog in German?
That was Hund.
Hund. An Austrian Hunddog.
No, Hund is dog.
Hund. Hund is Hund. So what's a Watchhund? Okay, I don't know.
You really look it up? No,
a Wiener Schnitzel, an Austrian Wiener Schnitzel rules The German company's use of Google Analytics.
Wachhund.
A Wachhund.
A Wachhund.
A Wachhund. I'm watching your Hund. Is breaching
clear your throat on the
GDPR
mic.
because it sends data to the U.S.
Where the government might get it.
Thanks to Schrems 2, which is the EU-US data sharing rule, the Austrian data protection Wachhund has ruled that you can't use Google Analytics because it sends data to the U.S.
It's getting ridiculous.
It's a violation of GDPR.
Isn't that
This is
that fair?
maturation of an industry, y'all. This is what happens.
Do we
just
still
gotta-
use Google Analytics? I tried really hard to convince management here not to use Google Analytics on our.
She said, not until you fix the bed.
Management is going to come running in here again and start throwing things at you.
There's more than one person in management. I tried to convince them that we should not have Google Analytics on our webpage because who cares?
Like Mike Masnick, who got rid of it. We talked
Yeah,
about that.
that's when I tried. I said, look, Mike did this, and I think it's the right thing to do. And no. So now maybe we have to because we don't want to violate GDPR.
You're not in Europe. You don't. What are they going to do? Arrest you?
Oh, okay. So that's a good point.
They'll fine you.
So, but that's an interesting point. Should I say if you're in Europe, you can't look at our site?
That's what I was going to ask. We have European listeners.
Well, that happened
What's the
with a
relationship?
lot of news sites where they like Chicago Tribune just blocked Europe and said, you're worth nothing to us. You're dead to us. We said
It makes sense for the Chicago Tribune. I mean, given their
Well, when
model
GDPR went into action a year ago, it's been a year now. We had this debate. Well, wasn't it January? Maybe
seems like it was longer than that.
2019.
No, GDPR went into effect May 18th on.
Oh, good God! You know
Look at
this?
her.
19 or I think it was 20.
She's the rain
Watching
woman.
UNIVAC
Look
in
at that.
Ocean.
Definitely in April. Definitely in April.
Wow, Stacey. Wow.
No,
get a
hold
life.
on. I could be. Let me just double check that.
No. I take you as my.
Effect.
I thought it was
May
2019.
25th, 2018. So
Oh,
May
a long time
25th,
ago.
2018.
So it'll be 4 years in
Very
May.
Stacey.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Anyway, at that time we thought, well, what should we do? And you know the shruggy guy?
Right.
That's what we decided to do.
Oh, there's a new thing. All of us shrugging.
And
It can't shrug and take the screenshot or produce.
He's very hard to do. He is really multitasking. He's producing the show. He's doing it. It's like pay no attention to the man behind the curtain. So I don't. That was good. He turned into
for those
Stacy
on
for a
audio, he
moment.
just played the Stacey flailing arms.
He turned
video.
into Stacy. SearchEngineLand. What happened, they say, when we turned off AMP? AMP, of course, the Google technology we've gone back and forth over the years, intended to speed up pages, but I think lately we've realized maybe also intended to kind of centralize Google's control of the internet. SearchEngineLand made the decision to stop publishing AMP versions, Google's accelerated mobile pages. They said just, we didn't want to have to put our content on third-party servers, et cetera. So since then, a lot has happened. But bottom line is, according to SearchEngineLand, we've seen very little disruption in our traffic and now have a much clearer picture of our audience analytics.
How is it
Sometimes using that
much
middleman, not great.
That's what I want to know. How do they get a better vision?
Well, with AMP,
Everything comes off their servers
all
instead of
cached.
going through other servers.
Oh, it's just cache. Got it.
Yeah.
Okay. Got you.
which does speed up things, but it also centralizes control in Google. And at the time, Google said, oh, no, it's an open standard. Anybody can run AMP servers, and nobody else runs AMP
Nobody's
servers.
done it, right?
Right.
Chat room does the shrug. I love IRC.
Shruggy. Google kills YouTube originals. Did you know that they had originals? Sure you did. Because
Yes.
Cobra Kai was awesome.
I was about to say, the only one I knew was Cobra Kai.
Yeah. Huh? What, Jeff?
Scare PewDiePie is gone. Oh,
Scare
no.
PewDiePie. So that was basically, there were two. No, there was more than 2. But that, honestly, I think Google's probably right to shutter it because, anyway, according to Variety, this YouTube Originals division founded 6 years ago to make exclusive original content for the pay-per-month YouTube Premium service. I do pay for that, but that's not because I want to see Cobra Kai. It's because I don't want ads. Now the group is being shuttered, and YouTube's head of original content, Suzanne Daniels, has announced she's leaving in March.
So that was the whole pitch at what's the conference I used to go to in Anaheim with all the video people?
VidCon.
Thank you, VidCon. That was a big deal at VidCon. Oh my God, the huge banners, and we're gonna, it's gonna be the new network, and then never mind.
It's funny. This is not
everybody else started doing original content too, so it didn't help them. It was stiff competition out there.
Remember when Google had like $100 million that they were going to give creators? They've done that a couple of times. Creators Fund, TikTok does it. A lot of
Instagram's starting to do it now.
Yeah. And I remember we were told, we had a big time entertainment attorney in here. He said, you guys really ought to go after that Google money. You could, they'd give you $10 million. But here's from Robert. Is it Kinsel? We've had this conversation many times. Kyncl. Kinkle? Dear creators.
Good question.
Jeff.
I think you know him, don't you, Jeff? Kinsel?
Yeah, I've met him.
Yeah.
I hate to think at Davos, I think.
He's chief business officer. You mean it's a World Economic Forum?
Those days are over, Stacey. I'm just not on the need not to invite list.
We got a Davos and a Gutenberg in this show. I'm liking it.
And a few anecdotes.
Where's your bingo card? Jarvis bingo.
Today, says Robert, there are over 2 million creators in the YouTube Partner Program. Our creative community has never been more successful. We've paid more than $30 billion to creators, artists, and media companies. Oh, probably more toward the media companies than to the creators, I'm guessing.
Yeah. So they don't sue us, yeah.
Yeah. Things like license fees. However, with rapid growth, this is going to be fun. However, as soon as I see that in the memo, I'm going, this should be interesting. However, with rapid growth comes new opportunities. And now our investments can make a greater impact on even more creators when applied to other initiatives, like our Creative Shorts Fund. Is this for people who have new design ideas for shorts?
Underwear, yeah.
Yeah. Black Voices Fund. That's good. Live shopping programming. Oh, yeah.
Oh, no.
Oh, no.
Live shopping is a big deal.
Oh, yeah.
Takes over the world.
Yeah. But in the case of YouTube, what are you shopping for?
I don't know. Makeup?
Let me see.
Slime.
Probably.
Jewelry?
Do they have
sweaters?
Do they have a live shopping channel?
What do they call it? Bric-a-brac?
Bric-a-brac.
Bric-a-brac? Oh,
Hummel figurines. It's the Hummel.
No, my friend... A friend of mine used to do it in China because that's where this kind of concept, I think, I don't know if it came from there, but I mean, QVC.
It's influencers, right? Selling stuff that I would guess. YouTube.
Capamonte, cacio e pepe.
YouTube, here it is.
Cacio e pepe.
YouTube.com/shopping, it says. And there's nothing there.
What? Nothing but growth then, Leo. There's nothing.
Do you remember the beta store? Do you remember the beta store? They're doing shopping. If you go to their website, they do live shopping now for like gadgets.
What's the beta store?
Beta store?
Remember, the beta store, it was created by some of the founders of Nest, and they had physical stores where you could go in and touch like complicated products and play with them and then buy them if you wanted to. And it was more.
Oh, yeah. That was
kind of
Was that?
Yeah.
Was that the come in and touch complicated products?
Well, no, that's the Stacey real talk right there.
I like it.
And companies would pay. It was like a marketing expense for companies, not like a retail strategy for them, if that makes sense. Although they did sell.
We're shopping right now. Here's the VAC One Coffee Air Brewer, a complicated product to make a simple drink.
Yeah, so they've pivoted to doing video shopping because of
you'll be buying
COVID,
one before the show's over.
Yeah, they got the right guy. Look at that. Oh, she's doing the universal sign for that's chef's kiss.
Water should drop. Yes, water should drop.
Oh, my God. We went to a fancy Michelin 2-star restaurant a couple of months ago, or maybe a month ago. It was my birthday present from Lisa. And they had the most elaborate Victorian-era coffee-making machine I've ever seen. It was like a show. They have this vacuum tubes and these chambers, and they pour water in there, and then they turn it upside down, and it goes, siphons up into the thing, and then you wait, and then you pull the thing, and it siphons back down, and now you have coffee. And it tastes exactly like...
Oh man!
Like a
letdown.
Maxwell House.
Like a Maxwell House. It was a fine cup. And even the guy who's doing it, like the waiter's doing this. It's like 10-minute process. He's doing this whole thing. Even he says, "Yeah, it's it's just kind of for fun." I think this might be the modern version of this VAC 1 coffee air brewer. I think it's the same idea where it's using. Yeah, it is.
Well, scroll down. They have other products.
The
So
Willow
it's
toothbrush
like,
FAQ. Oh, I need this. The Navian bed warmer. Oh. Now that I have a bed cooler,
Does it have?
I should really have a bed warmer because what goes.
How does that work? Does it microwave your head?
Oh, it's
why
exactly
is it on the
like
bedside table.
It's exactly like that. It's just a small version. It's got a little water pumper, but it's instead of this is exactly what the what the 8 sleep looks like, but it just goes into a little pillow instead of the whole bed.
Dude, just buy an electric
Here's
blanket.
something I could get: the Hypnos anti-snoring sleep mask. Sure, I'll be wearing that tonight. If you want, and it's got an app. If you want to look like the Elephant Man, you need the Hypnos. What else we got? Silken Pure Silk pillowcase. So this is it. This is home shopping. But
Interesting.
I don't know what happened to YouTube's home shopping. It's funny that Robert Kinsel should say we're going to put more money into that when in fact, if you go to youtube.com/shopping, nothing happens.
Well, that's why they're
Like you
putting
said.
more money because there wasn't any before.
Nothing but growth, man. Nothing but growth.
Exactly.
I guess they did it for the holidays, I guess. Holiday stream and shop. But then they stopped.
They should be doing it for Singles Day, which is coming up.
Oh, look, the Morrell twins, Gordon Ramsay. Who can't? Donut Media, Patrick Starr, Jackie Aina, Manny Mua, Mr. Beast, the richest man on YouTube. He is, by the way, according to Forbes, the richest man on YouTube.
Out of North Kakalaki.
Mr. Beast. Renee said he and his other YouTube creator friends thought that list was not exactly accurate. But I think Mr. Beast makes a lot. Anyway, Robert Kinsel, together these factors contributed to our decision to reduce our YouTube's original slate to nothing. Going forward, we'll only be funding programs that are part of our Black Voices and YouTube Kids Fund. We will honor our commitments for already contracted shows in progress, and creators who are involved with these shows should expect to hear from us in the coming days. Okay. All right.
The issue I have with some of that stuff, like you mentioned the Black Voices stuff. I looked at least 2 different things on there, maybe 3, and did nothing for me. And I think that's why a lot of these things just sort of fall through the cracks, because sometimes the content just isn't good. There's just too much competition out there.
It's hard to do good content. I think a lot
look at us.
I know. See what I'm saying? I've been trying for 15 freaking years. I think a lot of people, executives, people in LA, and just say, oh, you throw money at it. This is what YouTube learned. You throw money at it, good content, magic. And it's not. In fact, YouTube's real model is not so much throw money at it. In fact, I don't think they believe that throwing money at it does anything. Their model is
Netflix.
Attract. Yeah, this is the difference. YouTube's got a better model. Act as if you're going to make a lot of money and attract. What is it? 500 hours a minute are uploaded, something like that. Attract a ton of stuff, and we'll just let the crap float away, and the gold will rise, or I guess gold sinks. And
I was like, both the crap and the gold should sink, but sometimes your crap floats
and the gold sinks, and then you dig up the gold.
But you have to get past the crap.
When you pan for gold, you slosh the
we should
water
stop.
around and the silt comes off, and what's left in the bottom of the pan, solid gold nuggets.
What if we
Knott's
let
Berry
the
Farm, I
cream
couldn't
float
get a
to the
thing.
top?
The cream will rise.
The
And
cream
then
of the
Let's let
crap.
the cream
out of the
rise.
500 hours, 491 hours and 59 minutes will float down the river and be somebody
they
else's
sink.
problem.
They sink.
The 491 sinks. The other 8 minutes is the cream of
And the
crop.
The
cream
9 minutes
rises.
floats to the top where we see it in the recommendations. They rise to the recommendations.
You know what the number one viewed video on YouTube is? It is the cream. This is the cream.
Oh, man.
Do you know
Don't
what it
play
is? Do you know what it is?
Yes,
Do you know what it
yes.
is? 10
Baby Shark.
Right?
billion views. 10 billion views.
And you just gave it another.
And I just gave it another. Actually, this one's only got 2 billion. Oh, this is a special World Children's Day pink fong. But
Sure,
Baby Shark, the original Baby Shark, 10 billion views. How many people are there in the world?
Like 7 point something billion.
So who are
we
these
at-
extra 3 billion people?
Have you ever met a toddler?
Children.
Toddlers play this thing
repeat.
like, yeah.
I don't understand how any video could be viewed 10 billion times when there are only 7 billion people.
There are 7.9 billion people now. So
Here it is.
we're almost at
10,
8.
oop, I was wrong. It's 10,045,696,506 views. Yeah.
Unbelievable.
So where
Where
are all
is-
those
where
extra
is
people
the-
coming from?
So, Leo, before you ask what's on OAN, I just tweeted what was on OAN 2 minutes ago.
Well, oh,
Yes, I
really?
did Twitter.
Are you watching OAN as we do the show?
It's on my TV. I just want to see. They had on
It's
the
better
they
than
had the
Baby
pillow
Shark
guy.
right now. I would watch
Yeah.
it too.
I think it's
They had the pillow guy on.
It's
Then they had
similar.
an ad for this. You'll see it on my
all
Twitter
right.
feed.
All right. On his Twitter feed. Ladies and gentlemen, here is
Line one.
the free Trump gift for kids.
From Mike Huckabee, the Kid's
The
Guide,
Kid's Guide to President Trump. First family. Why did Donald Trump decide to run for president? Drain the swamp. What is MAGA? That's great. Good for them. Oh, look, there's a picture of Barron, the youngest Trump. That's great. Very fun. And this was an ad like to buy this?
Yes, it was Mike Huckabee pushing this.
Yeah, that's the
on
thing
our
I
way.
think is most interesting is how all these people who hated him until he got
The
nominated and got
Republican
elected.
Party grift.
Yeah.
Oh,
And
I
now
thought
it's
you were
like-
going to talk about how they're all making money.
Well, it is. It's like, A, I think they're scared of him. But B, also, it's a great opportunity to cash in.
It's just like buying the Dune book. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
So I'm going to
Gilded
tell y'all
Age.
that at 5 o'clock I have to wander off. I
Let's
didn't
wrap
realize
this
we
up
would
and get
this
your
far.
pick of the week. Stacy's
Wait.
about
What
to
have we not done here? What have
suffer
we not
dementia.
done?
Yeah,
and
I'm
wander
giving
off.
I'm giving you 30 minutes to get us time
Well, I
to
don't
get through
think there's
change logs
anything
and
more.
other stories.
Well,
Is
didn't
there
you
not a
forget to
change
do a
log?
certain beloved feature of the show?
I don't think there's a changelog in this rundown today. Oh,
there
wait a
isn't?
minute. Oh, there was a whole blank white space, and now there's a lot more.
I was like, we didn't talk about Google. We talked
There's
about
Canada
YouTube. Okay, I
jokes.
was-
There's McDonald's eggs.
Yeah, we talked about
Tesla drive. Oh, this actually is a big story. For the first time ever, a driver using Tesla's full self-driving is facing felony charges in a crash. Actually, it isn't FSD. It was the autopilot. California prosecutors have filed two, because this has been the question all along. In fact, Lisa
Right,
just
who's
asked me
liable?
this other day, who's liable if I have an auto park thing, I stand out there, press the button, my car crashes into another car, who's liable? Well, California prosecutors have solved that question. They filed 2 manslaughter charges against the driver of a Tesla who ran a red light and killed 2 people in 2019 while using autopilot. Now, I think that this isn't going to be the test case because at that time, in fact, I don't know if it even does now, but at that time, autopilot didn't know about stop signs or red lights. So I used it a lot on my Model X, but when you come to a red light, you got to stop. The car doesn't know that. So I think maybe this really is the guy's fault, not autopilot's. I don't think.
Well, it is no matter what, because he's responsible for his car.
Yeah.
Stacey,
Andre
what?
Leontali, he just died.
You didn't know this?
Did
Yeah,
that
he died.
happen?
Yeah,
no.
yes, you did.
When did this happen?
Who died?
Andre Leon Talley died
fashion icon.
yesterday.
Oh, yeah. He was a young...
Sorry, y'all. I've apparently been under a rock.
I'm under such a rock, I don't know who he is.
He was the amazing
fashion
creative director of Vogue.
Vogue.
Did he invent the giant puffy jacket?
Kind of.
No. He just styled
Quite
it.
possibly.
He's just rocking it. He's just rocking it.
He was Anna Wintour's right arm, and then she dropped him, and he ended life poor.
Arguing over if he could live in a house funded by which fashion house? It was crazy. Anyway, the point is the man was a genius. And anyway, sorry. Totally
Stacey,
not.
Stay on it for a second, just for a second, Stacey, because actually, I worked at Condé Nast. I know he was beloved. What was his primary contribution to fashion? What was his
apparently
his
the
vision
giant jacket?
Well, that's what he.
No, he recognized he like Anna Wintour and possibly more than her recognized designers and promoted and styled. And then styled the clothes for the fashion.
He did Michelle Obama's clothes for many years in the White House.
Yes, no, he was brilliant. I never saw the essence of Andre Leon Talley. You know, what was
a lot of it's risk. Taking risk.
Yeah, and that's because Anna Wintour
artists.
took a lot of his but
yeah, that's what she does. Anna used to have in her office, and I've sat in them. Was fabled the most uncomfortable possible chairs.
Here is Anna Wintour with Mr. Talley in 1989, before her hair went white. That looks like a fun party, don't you think?
Wait, her hair isn't white. Is she wearing white hair now?
Doesn't she have? Well, it's gray, or is it blonde? Anyway,
it's dark. It's an ash blonde or ash brown.
Okay,
ash brown.
Ash brown. Oh, yeah, there she is. There they are in 2014 with her ash brown hair.
Yeah.
So that famous, is it a pixie cut? The bob? What has she got there?
That's a bob.
Bob.
It's the Anna Wintour head. Yeah. I mean, it might as well be a Jennifer. Like, it's like, it's its own thing now. Okay. I'm sorry. I'm like, I have to leave. And then I sidetracked us totally.
Well,
and
I didn't know you were so into design because I just went to the San Francisco Museum of Art's Patrick Kelly retrospective, and it was amazing. I mean, another very famous black designer who passed away, far too young in his case, but he made some amazing stuff, and we saw this in San Francisco. I didn't even know it was going to be there.
Oh, that's cool.
It was so cool to see this.
So this is one of my favorite books right here.
What?
I'll show you. How to Read a Dress.
Oh.
It talks.
I wish I'd read that first.
Well, this is for women's fashion specifically, but it's just like I love. Yeah.
You would have loved this exhibit. It was amazing.
I would have. I love all.
Yeah.
I'm the person the Met is pandering to with all of their costume
One of the things that's interesting about Kelly, first of all, he fled to France because, of course, he couldn't, get a fair hearing because he was black. But also in the U.S., but also he collected racist memorabilia and turned it into his fashions in many cases, which is pretty neat.
That's crazy.
He got a lot of heat for that. You'll see, in fact, in this picture, he's wearing kind of a pin that's like a black Sambo pin. And it was a way of saying, you know what, we're going to take it back. Yeah, we're going to take it back. And I loved him, and so did France. In fact, here's one of his collections had Eiffel Tower hats. They were so great. So great. So Stacey, I don't know this other guy, Talley, but if you like Kelly,
Talley wasn't a designer.
Yeah, I know. He just discovered people like Patrick Kelly. But come to San Francisco and see this. It's an amazing show.
Okay, I will.
Highly recommend it. Look at this lip hat with the lip suit. Isn't that hysterical? He had a great sense of humor. All right. What else before we get rid of Stacey?
Android 12 updates?
Who cares?
I just got one.
Did you do your update? Did it make your Pixel 6 better?
I think it broke my Bluetooth.
Oh, really? And I think I'm having better performance.
Good.
The last 2 days.
A happier
I
Ant?
could not connect my freaking headsets and get them to work for like.
Okay,
yes,
I got
the
a
last
tip.
2 or 3 days.
I got a big tip, and I did this on Windows Weekly because both Paul and Mary Jo use Pixel 6 Pros. The January update did come out, and it's supposed to fix all these problems. But, and I found this on Reddit, there is a trick, it's at least with ambient lighting, and I suspect with maybe fingerprint and other things, you almost need to do a reset of the phone. And there is a reset hidden in the weirdest place ever. So I'm going to follow along over my shoulder, if you would, John. Can you pick up my over the shoulder? He has to push some buttons and make it work.
He was all ready for the changelog, and then you change the button on it.
This is the changelog. So this is my Pixel 6, by the way. I think Andy Knocker recommended this case. I like, or was it you, Ant? Maybe it's you. It's the Spigen. No. Okay, nice case. Anyway, so go into settings. All of you who have a Pixel 6, follow along here, because you'll never believe where you find this setting. Go to apps. Go to
apps.
Apps. Hold on. See all apps. And this is because the only way you can get to this particular app, Device Health Services, is through the apps settings. So this is, remember when Google decided to move updates into the store in many cases because companies weren't passing along their updates? This is one of the places where you have to do this. Device Health Services. Storage and cache. Manage space. Holy cow, does this have anything to do with that? No. Reset adaptive brightness. If you've been having trouble with adaptive brightness, do that. And then
hit that.
I think this actually is the one you want, which is clear all data for device health services, including battery statistics, adaptive brightness data. I think that after you do the January update, you should do this because you have a lot of old cached data. That removing that, I think, fixes a lot of things. The other advice that I strongly suggest if you've had trouble with a fingerprint reader is deregister your fingerprints and re-register them after you get the January update.
You mentioned something a while ago. There came a point with my phone where suddenly I'm at home. I have to hit the power button before I can use the fingerprint.
Yeah. I think this fixes that. I haven't had that happen. Actually, I haven't had that happen in a while. But again, I'm just going to run through this real quickly because I know it's weird. We'll put this, I guess, in the show notes. And I don't know. Jason is out, so I don't know if they talked about this yesterday and all about Android. But again, settings, apps, just because you have to get to this weird device health app. See all, and then device health. And this is a weird trick because I didn't even remember. Okay, now I have to go to storage and cache, which makes no sense. Manage space, and then that's where you get these settings to reset adaptive brightness and clear all data. And I suspect that that's what's going on, that there's cached bad stuff from the old days, because this seems to help. I have
1 meg of it.
Yeah. I only have 4 kilobytes after clearing it. And if your fingerprints are still not working, re-register those. So that's your Google changelog.
Oh, Jesus.
Good stuff.
I fell asleep. I guess I was on
I actually pulled this for you. We do have to do an ad and then picks and then we'll go. But I do want to just read this, Jeff. How Campbell's soup turned New Jersey into a tomato growing state.
I wonder how this ended up here. I'm going to tell you something in a second, but go ahead and put
it's from the Smithsonian Magazine. And I had no idea. You know, they call New Jersey the Garden State. My family was in Leonia, just over the bridge, so it was kind of still metro sprawl. But you're in a very nice part of New Jersey, and as you go, as it's south, it gets beautiful. It really is beautiful. So
it's beautiful west too, where I am.
But it turns out it's a perfect growing area for tomatoes. The soil, especially, by the way, the inner coastal plain. Which is
Leo,
southern.
Would you scroll down just a little bit in that photo? Let me tell you something.
This one?
No. It's the people, the meeting in the farm. Maybe it's up now. No, that one.
There it is. Cinnamon. You lived in Cinnamonson?
No, I didn't just live in Cinnamonson. I lived like there. I lived on the old tomato fields for Campbell soup.
You lived in tomato fields?
I lived on the old tomato fields.
So because of the perfect soil for this, particularly in the intercoastal area, a loamy soil, The very famous tomatoes were bred by Campbell Soup, the Rutgers tomato, which is now gone, by the way, although Rutgers is trying to bring it back because a few seeds remain in the Campbell's archives. The Rutgers tomato, they stopped because selling it or using it, even though it was perfectly uniform and everything, the skin was thin. So they wanted a thicker skin. But anyway, it was a great article by the founder of the Library Seed Bank. He's a seed activist, Jeff Quattrone. And he talks about the Garden State tomato, the Rutgers tomato, and most importantly, the JTD. If you like Campbell's tomato soup, it's because of the JTD, which is actually named after I think the CEO of Campbell's, right?
Yeah, he was Densmore or something. I forget what his name was. Yeah. John something. Yep.
So did you read the article? John Thompson
Yeah,
Dorrance.
That's it. Thank you. Yes.
He was the president of the company. The JTD tomato, released in 1918. Bred there in Cinnaminson. It's a medium-sized red tomato.
Cinnaminson. You learned how to spell that early.
Cinnaminson.
Yes.
So is that where you were born?
No, I went there from second to seventh.
That's cool. I had no idea. All right, now we're going to take a quick break, and then it's Picks of the Week, and then Stacy is going to go somewhere and do something we only wish we could follow along. Maybe make cookies, maybe have dinner. I don't know. This episode of Twig is brought to you by brand new sponsor. Welcome, CDW, HPE GreenLake, orchestrated by the experts at CDW. Now, if you're an enterprise, I'm going to tell you something you should probably know by now. Yesterday's infrastructure is not going to help you meet the demands of tomorrow's innovation. May not even help you with today's innovation. And now more than ever, you have to quickly adapt to change, right? The consumption-oriented model of public cloud has revolutionized how organizations think about infrastructure, how organizations are now demanding the speed and agility of a public cloud experience. But still, to this day, many workloads remain on-prem. You've got complicated legacy applications. There's also the issue, we've talked about this, we just did, about data sovereignty. Then there's compliance issues. Or maybe just you're afraid it's a serious thing to migrate sensitive data to the cloud. IT caught right in the middle, right? Trying to satisfy the demand and growth of their organization while struggling to manage disparate data, expected to do it all at budget. Well, let me introduce you to HPE GreenLake and CDW. They can provide a seamless, scalable cloud experience across your entire organization that you can easily manage from anywhere. No matter where your data and applications live, on-prem, public cloud, private cloud, you can trust HPE and CDW to automate your processes so that you can focus on the next big thing. CDW can help you get the most out of your unique, complex data needs by assessing your organization's needs and designing and implementing a tailored HPE GreenLake solution to modernize your business, to meet your digital transformation goals, and to kind of answer those questions and help with the nervousness of making this big transition. And once implemented, CDW provides ongoing management, which means your staff could focus on innovation. They don't have to fiddle with the bits. Seamless cloud experience across all your organization's apps and data. Thanks to a as-a-service model that meets you at the edge, you'll have scalability that provides instant increase in capacity. Loving that, right? Giving you the flexibility to match your growth and meet demand. And streamlined management of all your data, all your applications inside that single platform, providing simplified operations and accessibility from everywhere. Giving you back time to focus on innovation. This is kind of a through line here. CDW not only helps assess an organization's needs and build a unique HPE GreenLake solution, they also remain an active partner. They're right there for you to provide support throughout the management process. CDW experts also bring decades of experience designing, orchestrating, and managing strategic cloud solutions that help you unleash the full potential of your investments, giving you back the time you need to what? Yes, innovate and dream bigger. For a seamless cloud experience, trust HPE and IT orchestration by CDW. People who get it. Learn more at cdw.com/HPE. Easy to remember, cdw.com/HPE. We thank them so much for supporting This Week in Google. And if you're interested, please use that address so that you know you saw it here, cdw.com/HPE. Now, usually I start with Stacey and with Ann. Let's reverse it. Ann, what's your pick of the week this week?
Well, let me make sure I'm
I took you off
mute.
guard there. Sorry.
To make sure
I
I'm
didn't
off
expect
mute.
that. He thought he had a few minutes. Okay.
I did. Well, my pick is Canon again. You know, they've been dealing with some stuff in this photography industry, but today they announced a new camera body, and it's the EOS R5C.
The R5 is mind-boggling, but this is a new R5.
This is a new R5 with cinema capabilities, and it sits right in between the R5 and the C70. So you're going to get cinema capability up to 8K. It even has an internal fan on it. You can record up to 8K RAW internally. This looks like a beast of a camera, and I believe it's going to start you at about $4,500. I'm curious about the current R5 owners, because this still allows you to shoot stills in addition to having all of that extra video.
And it's what, 48 megapixels?
40 megapixels.
Wow.
So I'm wondering what my R5 fans are thinking right about now.
Well, it'll use those lenses, yes.
Right.
Yeah.
But I don't know. That body is sitting right in between this one and the C70. The C70 is a dedicated video.
This is like the best of both
camera.
worlds, right? You get both, in effect, I would guess.
Right.
Yeah?
So, yeah, that was this morning, and I think it's a pretty good price, and hopefully I'll be able to get my hands on one to test it out soon.
8K RAW, 422, 4K, 120p.
120p, and you still get the audio for the slow motion. It doesn't totally warp it out. Still pretty good features built in here. Wow. No ND filters. The in-body stabilization has a 1.4 crop on it. But again, all of that stuff can be worked around.
When I got Henry an R6, because he needed to sit, I wish this had been out, but it's the R6 was less expensive. But even it has very good video capabilities.
Yeah, the R6 is great.
Yeah, and he has all my old Canon EF lenses, so he just, like I said, we'll get an adapter, and all those lenses work.
Yep.
So
saved a lot of money, sir.
Yeah. So he has my old Mark IV, 5D Mark IV, and now he has the R5. And I bet you, if all things go well, did you see Chrissy Teigen retweeted his reel the other day? Yeah.
Oh, good for him.
Apparently he's been going back and forth with Chrissy Teigen. They want to do a cooking show together or something. But anyway,
good for him.
If all that pans out, maybe he should get an R5C. I'm thinking.
This would definitely
Dad's
work with
not
that.
buying it. But
and shout out to Salt_Hank for real.
He's doing great.
I've really enjoyed the salt that we got here at the house.
It's good salt, isn't it?
Yeah. The pesto one. The pesto one is really
I'm a fan of the garlic
chicken.
truffle. I just had that on an avocado toast, and it was so good. So good. SaltHank.com. And Aunt Pruitt is, of course, Aunt_Pruitt on Instagram.
Yeah, give me a follow over there. I'm still putting stuff on Instagram and still interacting with people there. I tell the people that watch my show and listen to my show to just follow me over there and interact with me there. And I do my very best to follow up.
When you took this profile photo, were you thinking, like you're looking at the camera, were you thinking, I love you, man?
That's my normal happy face.
Okay.
It's resting ant face.
I can't read it. That's all. And so it's like the Mona Lisa that follows you around. I can't decide.
That's just the normal
I love you, man, or I'm going to rip your heart out through your lungs. Or I don't know. I can't tell.
I'm a damn good poker player.
It's poker. That's what it is. Are you? Yeah. I bet you are. It's a complete
I am
poker
a damn
face.
good poker player.
Yeah. See, I see the smile here. There, it's like can't read him. What's he thinking? Does he have a royal flush? I don't know.
Maybe.
Number of the week, Mr. Jeff Jarvis.
All right, so this is the ultimate me. I said, no, it makes Stacey happy for me to bring up this word. Gutenberg, $200,000. $200,000. This makes you got to go to this page. Go to that page.
All right.
So this is a discovered fragment of the Donatas, which was a grammar book that Gutenberg, it is believed, you don't know anything, printed before the Bible. And there's very few examples of this, and they're all just pieces that were used in later bindings. So this is a 1490 book, and this book guy, Patrick Olson, is representing this thing. And if you go
you can actually open it. Oh my God.
Oh yeah. So the book is not what you're thinking of it is. Go to it's column 1, row 2.
So you don't care about the book.
Right
it's
there.
the thing they made this book out of.
Exactly. So go to row that one. See what's right there in the
That's the Donatas.
That is the Donatas. It's a sliver of the Donatas. And the great thing is it's a wonderfully written explanation of why they know this and how. But it's $200,000, has a price on it. And as of yesterday, it had a put in cart button. And I have to admit that I did it for just 2 seconds.
Oh, yeah, just to have it in your cart.
I wanted to have the sense that for 1 second I had this in my cart.
So they reused this old book to make this newer book.
Exactly.
But this old book has been identified as being a very early Gutenberg.
A Gutenberg, and it was a kid's grammar. It was a school grammar book, a Latin grammar book. So they weren't meant to be saved, right?
Yeah.
So if you go to that first photo, right there, that's the outside of the binding, and you see those little letters right there.
Yeah,
those are little tiny bits left of Gutenberg's Donatas.
Wow.
Yeah, so I know this has nothing to do with Google.
I think you should buy this as an NFT and burn it.
I was going to say I could then burn it. Yeah.
Who needs it? Just make it an NFT. Yeah.
Wow.
If you want it, go on over to olsonrarebooks.com and Peacemaker will be glad to burn it for you. And now, ladies and gentlemen, Stacey Higginbotham's Pick of the Week.
All right, y'all. This pick of the week is a little crazy. Let's see if we can get Leo to buy it.
It's not as crazy as mine. I got a crazier one, but go ahead.
Okay. Mine is the oven that I actually bought in November, but it arrived and I've gotten to play with it.
Is it from June?
I am so excited. No. This is a slide-in range and induction smart range and oven from GE Cafe. And the reason I'm talking about it is because it's the first appliance that I've actually, big appliance that I've connected to Wi-Fi, because it's freaking awesome if you connect it to Wi-Fi.
So I love the idea of an induction oven. We want to get induction cooktops. We actually have one on order.
This is an induction cooktop. It is an electric oven.
I get it. It's still a stove as well as an oven.
Yeah,
we love induction.
Yeah. Do you love it?
So
is it good for cacio e pepe? Okay.
Oh yeah,
it's great.
Well, actually, no. The microwave is what I do that. Microwave. That's another story.
So this is a regular oven, but it's Wi-Fi enabled.
Yes.
Yeah.
It is the first thing I've ever put on Wi-Fi, and the reason is it talks to both Madam A and Google, so I can tell Google to preheat my oven.
Yeah.
Which I still can't do
that.
And I can ask how much time is left on the timer if I set it from the oven.
But
GE has also been very active in updating things. They actually, prior to Thanksgiving, did an update to many of its ovens, not all of it, but any of those that were capable of it. They did the turkey update that did a cook program for turkeys. So you just put the probe in the oven and said you were cooking the turkey, and it was like, boom, I'm on it. Don't worry about it.
I got this. It's got an air fryer mode. Ooh.
Yes.
It's got, even though it looks like a standard stove, it looks like it has two. It's got, what do they call that? The Dutch oven? It's got a Dutch oven.
Oh, this one's here. Mine is, which one
Yours
are you
isn't the Dutch oven. I was looking at a video
mine
that
is
had
not
a
the
Dutch oven.
Yeah,
okay.
mine is because I already have the June as my, I don't need two separate little tiny ovens. Yeah. I need a big oven.
This is not cheap though. It's $4,000 for this.
No. Well, induction ovens are expensive. Yeah, that's my oven right there.
Yeah, we want to get an induction cooktop. But it's been a while.
So this gets into the next thing, and in 2 weeks, I'm going to have a new thing related to it, but I'll just sneak peek it.
Okay.
This works with the Heston Q Smart Pans.
I have Heston Q Smart Pans.
Pants?
Because
my pants are smart.
Pans. So because I have to buy new pans for the induction cooktop, I was like,
the Hestons work with induction. In fact, they come with a little induction, little burner, single burner.
I don't need that. They're integrated with GE.
Nice.
So I will talk about. Yeah,
that's cool.
Oh wait, so the pan? We'll hear about it in 2 weeks.
It's a smart pan.
So the pan recognizes information coming from the app or in this case with GE and the integration, the oven. So it also has sensors in it to detect how warm the pan is. So there's a couple of things you can do with that. You can keep your pan at exactly the right temperature, which allows you to sous vide in it if you would like.
Right.
It also allows you to do things like melt chocolate and delicate kind of heating things that normally you have to babysit as a cook. The other thing it's going to do is you can tie it to some of the recipes and it will follow some of the recipes. It's not a Thermomix, but it's still going to be pretty cool.
Yeah. No, I have Alex Lindsay talked me into getting these. I have a couple of Heston Qs. And it comes with its little induction unit. But if you had a stove that worked with
Stacy's call for empathy there. Not a Thermomix like Leo has one. Please, sir, may I have some more?
Oh, pshaw.
I just spent $3,700 on a range, but I'm going to complain.
Oh, did you? So you bought this range? When does it come?
It came. No, I bought it in November. It came.
Oh, you have it.
Monday.
Oh, okay.
I set it up. That's why it's my thing.
So did you have a nice
about
stove you got rid of, or you always?
No, I had a failing Bosch, and I was just like, so that oven, it was horrible, y'all.
Yeah. We had a Bosch dishwasher we got rid of because it was just.
Oh, I like my Bosch dishwasher.
Well, this one, all the circuit boards fried, all of them.
Oh, well, that would be a problem.
It was a little too computery. Hey, I got one for you, Stacy. This will go very well with your cocktail party later. This is you know about Shazam, right? Which identifies music. This is Cheezam, which identifies French cheese.
Yes.
Is it based on smells?
No, you have to take a picture of the cheese and then drag it to the dot here. Cheezam is the brainchild of a few data scientists at a company called Prevision.io. Over lunch a few months ago, a debate took place as to which type of cheese we are served on a dessert tray. Yes, things get pretty wild at lunches outside of our Paris, France office. Just imagine what these folks are like on the weekend. From that lunch, an idea was born. Can machine learning be used to identify a type of cheese? Now, I have to say, Shazam, which is, by the way, literally trained, but was trained on a data set of French cheeses only. So don't expect this to work on your cheddar, your Edam,
so it's
your Vermont.
Gruyere, not your Edam.
Yes. Gruyere, Comté, Rochefort, Le Brie, Le Camembert, that kind of thing. It can only predict the type of cheese. But I don't know. I guess it's good.
You tried it?
No, I haven't tried it. Are you kidding? But I just thought, wow, that's French right there. Shazam, it detects French cheese. And there's even an API if you'd like to.
There was a startup who actually used molecular chemistry.
Oh, yeah,
little
smells
test
it.
strips to detect.
Yeah.
It smelled it. And this was a startup I saw present probably 4 years ago at a food tech conference. And I was like, it was also a French person.
Gotta respect that passion.
Yeah, they have the big nose. It makes it easier to smell.
Let's be passionate about cheese.
Oh, God, yes.
Why wouldn't you be?
Why wouldn't you be?
Yeah.
It's the best. Yeah. By the way, you will like this, Stacy. If you do use it for cheese recognition, it will also recommend wine pairings.
Oh, excellent.
With all this cheese that makes us thirsty, announcing the newest features of Shazam, wine pairings with direct purchasing enabled. All right. Stacy gets to go now. Thank you. Have a Stroop waffle on me. Stacy Higginbotham, Stacy on IoT.com. Subscribe to her free newsletters. Don't forget the podcast she does with Kevin Toffel, all about IoT, and it's all there at Stacy at IoT.com. Thank you, Stacy.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ant Pruitt. Ant_Pruitt on the Instagram, Ant_Pruitt on the Twitter. He's at twit.tv/hop, community manager at our club, where he's bringing in some great stuff. Georgia
Doing
Dow,
my best.
Georgia Dow's coming up. Mike Elgin, thank you for all that you do there. And then, of course, there's this guy, the director of the Townite Center for Entrepreneurial Journalism at the Graduate School of Journalism at the City University of New York. Former
And
teenager.
That just fires me up every time I hear it.
No, I
I
love it.
love it. I absolutely love it. My friend
lovely.
Pete Dominic, the podcast I mentioned, he's, I have another family. I occasionally am on Pete's. He used to be on Sirius for 12 years. He's a comedian. He has people in his audience who do jingles.
Oh.
And they decided that I was jingle worthy.
Oh,
and
no.
I got a
Oh, my
whole
goodness.
jingle.
You have a jingle package?
No, that's
I
not.
have
No, we
a
talked about
jingle.
this.
Where can I hear your jingle?
Not yet. He's not put it on the air yet. He played it for me today, but he hasn't put it on his air yet. So when it's there, I will play my jingle for you.
I'm kind of feeling
my
bad
goodness.
about this now.
All
we got was a
we
little
talked
choral
about
group,
this, sir.
and he got you a jingle. Is this gonna? Are we gonna?
Pete's my real friend.
Yeah. Are we gonna have like a
no one
war?
insults him.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jeff. Thank you, Stacy. Thank you, Aunt. We'll see you all next time. We do this show every Wednesday, 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern. Tune in early for the anecdotes from the front porch.
From the old codger.
Old man ramblings.
Rock and roll, rambling on the porch.
Let me tell you about the time.
If you stick around, I'll show you my Dykstra later. That's a coding joke. You just wouldn't understand. If you want to watch us live.twit.tv. That is a joke that literally like 1/10 of 1%, 1,000th of a percent got. But those of you who know, you know.
That's big enough for you, yeah.
Big enough for me. I don't care.
Yeah.
I'll take it all. irc.twit.tv if you want to chat with us. Join the Club Twit at twit.tv/clubtwit. You can chat in the Discord. On-demand versions of the show at twit.tv/twig. There's a YouTube channel. There's also, of course, you subscribe because it's a podcast. So go to your favorite podcast player, look for Twig, and subscribe. And that way you'll get it automatically every time it's available. Thank you, everybody, for putting up with us. We'll see you next time on This Week in Google. Have I ever told you the one about...
Android is constantly evolving, and if you're part of the Android faithful, then you'll be just as excited about it as I am. I'm Jason Howell, host of All About Android, along with my co-hosts Florence Ion and Ron Richards, where every week we cover the news, we cover the hardware, and we cover the apps that are driving the Android ecosystem. Plus, we invite people who are writing about Android, talking about Android, and making Android onto the show. Every Tuesday at twit.tv, look for All About Android.